Welcome to the San Jose Hockey Now podcast. Today we have a special podcast. We have a mailbag, which we like to do before every season, but this season it is special, not just because of Michael Misa or Sam Dickinson or Ty Dellandrea as your third line center. It's because we have Dan Boyle on. And so Dan Boyle is going to answer a lot of your questions. We feel very, very hurt, actually. Most of your questions were directed to Dan. I wonder why. It could be the 18 years in the NHL or what. I don't know. But anyway, so most of your questions are for Dan, so we're going to jump right to it. Also, though, Keegan and I, we are going to discuss, hopefully Zubair is not here right now. Hopefully he jumps on later. He's in a work meeting. But we will also talk about the opening night roster, Ty Dellandrea at third line center, Michael Misa, Sam Dickinson, other kind of roster questions and decisions and whatnot. So let's get to that in just a second. But before we do that, though, a word from our sponsor, Bring Hockey Back, bringhockeyback.net. So I am actually not wearing a Bring Hockey Back shirt today. I just wanted to show Dan Boyle that I am cool. I have band T-shirts that are cool, not just Chicago or Peter Cetera, so I have proved myself. I didn't just buy this last week, Dan. I bought this 2 months ago.
You made a run at Walmart today. I saw you.
Yeah, thrift store. But anyway, they'll Bring Hockey Back. So they do have the coolest hockey T-shirts, Sharks ones that I've worn many, many times. Also, too, if you need a custom hockey jersey made for your beer league, for any kind of corporate event or whatever, right? Go to Bring Hockey Back, bringhockeyback.net. Coupon code San Jose Hockey Now for 15% off.
Sheng, you get better at this every time. Excellent.
We're doing a tempo run here because Dan's got to get out of here pretty soon. So we'll see if we can actually break speed records on his podcast and do a mailbag that is less than like 3 hours.
Yeah.
People listen to us on Fast Forward anyways.
Yeah, they do.
You know what I mean?
And they actually do listen, shockingly, Dan. So I know you keep asking. You can't believe that anyone listens for more than 20 minutes. But
we did a 4-hour mailbag, which is still consistently like our top viewed episode. A 4-hour mailbag. Which
Dan, we did a 4-hour mailbag while having Return of the King Extended Edition playing at the same time, and we were commenting on what was going on in Return of the King.
And that's the most listened to.
One of the
that
most,
is up there. It's not. Maybe I don't know if it's the most listened to, but it's high up there. It's not like our lowest though.
I think people just need shit to listen to in the car. You know, I think they just need long drives or whatever.
Exactly. They
well,
just
at the end of the year, Sheng, I want you to have a party, and I want you to invite all of these people that are listening to this 4-hour podcast. I want to see these people in person, in person at your house. At the end of the Sharks.
Can we have it at your house?
No.
At the Boyle Mansion?
No, you cannot.
Absolutely not. Okay, so before we get started with questions to Dan, just a couple of quick things. Okay, so first, one question I didn't get to, or I couldn't find your subscriber email, so that's Julian, your question. So if you're indeed a subscriber, actually your question we're going to answer anyway. But anyway, you can email me at shengpeng@gmail.com or at sanjosehockeynow@gmail.com if you want to send me your subscriber info. Second thing, we are going to have a cap drawing. Zubair and I, we did this at the end of the last show. I'm just going to show one of them really quickly. Very cool cap. We're giving away 5 caps from Mitchell and Ness. And we'll do that at the end of the show, okay? And it is actually, will be for just people who ask questions. And so for everybody who asks questions, this is kind of I didn't announce it, but you are all in, we'll be in a drawing for a Sharks cap from Mitchell and Ness. Very cool stuff. So, okay, hold on, I had to scroll down there. Okay, so let's get started. Excuse me. I love this question. And I actually verified the identity of this person who doesn't subscribe, actually. But they will understand once I ask. So Randy Hahn asked, and I texted Randy and I asked him, did you ever beat Randy Hahn in golf? Because I heard he's really good.
Did I ever beat Randy Hahn in golf? Okay. Randy Hahn's golf game is like watching... like a 95-year-old man driving in the left lane when you're trying to get somewhere. It's a fucking nightmare and a disaster, and it's really tough to watch. So I love Randy, but the golf game is is very, 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 very bad.
So your answer is yes, you beat him many times.
So my answer is yes.
Okay. Let's move forward here then. Sorry, Randy. Cella Beauty asked.
Cella Beauty.
So in 2013, you fought Corey Perry, and this fan loved that.
I guess.
And I think you probably played with Corey in the Olympics, right? So anyway, this fan asked, is Corey Perry as big a prick as he seems on TV?
I mean,
you kicked his ass.
I got to play with him in the Olympics, which is very quick, so you don't get to bond with those guys. And but to play again, I don't know him as a teammate. I'm sure I would have loved to have him as a teammate.
Okay,
obviously he's won cups. He's successful, but to play against him, he's a fucking nightmare. But that's his job. He does it very, very well, and he knows what he's doing. But he was probably, over the course of my career, one of the top pests, even though he's, pretty big guy.
As far as you know, I guess a little follow-up here. Do you know if Ryan Getzlaf or other teammates actually like Corey, or were they forced to stand up for him reluctantly?
I have no comment on that. I don't know.
Okay, you just don't know. You shouldn't say no comment. Because no comment sounds like you're commenting.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. So in the Olympics, nothing happened though. You seem pretty chill in the Olympics. So fair enough.
No, we were all focused on the same goal. But
okay.
Yeah.
All right. This next
Keegan?
one comes from Patrick.
Yeah.
Patrick asks, after he listened to our Luca Cagnoni episode, is there ever a discussion with these smaller defensemen like Luca transitioning from like defenseman to wing, or you being used primarily on the power play and as a winger instead of a defender?
And Dan, you played forward for a while too, right? So yeah.
I did. Like I said, in Florida, they put me up front. And I was actually pretty good. I'm not going to lie. But, I think if there's no room on the back end, you really like someone and you don't want to send them anywhere, sometimes there might be that situation where you throw a defenseman up front. We did it with, Brent Burns years ago, and he ended up being, for different reasons, not a small defenseman, obviously, but, and he had pretty successful, I think, at least 1 or 2 seasons. Obviously playing with Jumbo is going to help, but, sometimes I think there's room for that. I don't think we're there yet with him, but if you like a player and sometimes he just doesn't fit in the one spot, why not keep him and try him somewhere else?
Okay.
Yeah, just would a D-man ever be like offended by that kind of thing, do you think?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you want to play minutes. I mean, ideally, if he wants to be a defenseman and he's not going to get in the lineup, but they're going to play him on the third line and power play, and he'll be in the lineup every night. At some point, I think as a player, you're just like, well, that's not what I had in my bingo card today, but fuck yeah, let's go, So that's what I think.
Okay. This one is from Kevin, and he says that Lane Hutson, I don't know how much you watched Lane last year, Dan, but Hodge had a great year, won the Calder Trophy.
Yep.
But Kevin points out that half of Lane's points were secondary assists. So kind of going micro here, but is it wrong to question just how great a season Lane had because of the secondary apples? Just how do you see it as a player?
Well, I'm going to talk about this probably every podcast. I'm not so stuck on points, although as media we are. And no one's going to win any award without getting, the right statistics. So I don't put too much weight in that. If anything, for me, it's just the test of the eye. A guy can dominate a game and not have any points, and I've said this before. If he does it over and over again, to me, that's the measurement. And the added thing, which was cool, in Tampa, we had it in Tampa, where they would watch every game, and they would give us a point for a scoring chance. So you can come out of there +4 or +5, even though on a score sheet you were -3. And I think that was way more accurate, where you would get rewarded for, like, you could be setting up guys all night, working your ass off, getting shots, getting rebounds, being a completely dominant player. But if you come out of that night with 0 points, -3, it's going to look poorly. But I believe that the system they had in Tampa would show accurately. And on the other end, you could have 3 points that have been horse shit. The
Right.
Tampa sheet would show that you were -7 because you were terrible in your own end. You weren't producing. So I'm not so worried about points. It's the test of the eye. And from the games that I've seen, he was pretty dominant and helpful.
Okay. So it sort of sounds like you gotta look a little harder than just looking at the
I
numbers.
don't
Yeah,
secondary,
for sure.
primary doesn't.
Yeah.
That's not something I look at.
Okay. Sounds like a Dom kind of thing there, but okay. So. A question from Fallooooooon, and this was actually a very rudely worded question that I cannot ask in its original form.
I love those.
Oh yeah, it's
I don't
super
know if you want to
rude.
be, it would be dropping your teammates under the bus, which I don't think you want to do. So
I won't do that, but I'm willing to listen to the question.
Okay. Then the question was not. Yeah. Okay. Well, I can ask as it is then. So, what was your personal moment when you realized that Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau didn't have it?
Oh God, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that's not. I mean, you're right. I'm not going to throw.
What? Can I ask
teammates-
the question in a different way that you can answer? Let me
Sure,
rephrase it.
you can try,
It is a
you can
subscriber,
try.
So, yeah. What do you think when the critics and fans like this one here, like Fallooooooon says, when critics and fans say that Jumbo and Patty didn't have it, that winning it, I guess.
Well, I think neither of them won the cup. I think sometimes that could be misleading. I think personality-wise, sometimes too, especially Patty, is not a fiery. I don't know if fiery is the right word, but sometimes it could be perceived incorrectly because they're not as loud or vocal. But not winning is certainly, when you're a really good dominant player and you don't win, unfortunately, you're going to have that label of probably a player. And on good teams, you're going to have that label attached to you, unfortunately. So that's probably as much as I need to say. It's unfortunate. They're both obviously Hall of Famers, but they just never got to win. And had they won, I don't know if the question would still be asked.
Right. And it's obviously they wanted Olympics, right? It's a team sport, all that kind of stuff, right?
It is a team. Yeah, it's absolutely a team sport. But
The comment thread for that question was just like everybody trashing the question. Bunch of downvotes.
Most
for
of the
that
fans
as
did
well.
not like that, but I
Yeah.
think the way I phrased it is a fair question, so that you can answer. So
that's my answer. They're both Hall of Famers. They're both tremendous players. They just never won, and unfortunately, with that comes, poor labeling or maybe inaccurate labeling.
sure.
So this question's from EH, and they had noticed, I guess, when they were watching Will Smith, that his shot on breakaways occasionally, it seems like his shots lack lift and tend to go low on the opposing goalie. Is a shot something that can be corrected, or does it need correcting? I don't know. I haven't really noticed all that much, but this isn't my question. It's for you, Dan. So.
Well, you like to think NHLers' shots should be above average to get to that point. That being said, some are better than others. It's something you can work on. By the time you get to the NHL, he's still young, getting stronger. That could just be wrist strength or grip strength. You're going to experience like technology and using different sticks. He's going to have more options as a professional player than he did, back in college or as a junior player. You don't have as many options. So you find the right stick, you get a little stronger, you work on it. You can definitely, something you can improve. But as far as like him shooting low and not high enough, I don't know. That could just literally be just a choice he makes. I haven't seen. I can't answer that question specifically because I haven't seen enough video to determine, is it just something that he needs to improve on, or is that just a bad, poor choices on his part?
Okay. Pucktastic asked about how defensemen complement each other, and he was asking about Dickinson and Desharnais, but specifically for you, Dan, though, he's asking, have you seen guys step up when they've been your partner and play at a different level, or I guess just in general, it's just that one partner that unlocks something out of a defenseman?
Absolutely. I've had great partners, and they were part of me being better. A few come to mind. Obviously, Dougie Murray and I had tremendous on-ice chemistry. In Tampa, I had a guy named Brad Lukowich,
Oh, sure.
Him and I had great chemistry. The guy that comes to mind right now is a guy that Matt Irwin. Matt Irwin and I were partners. I don't know for how long, but he was very good for me. And I'd like to think I was very good for him. And he was probably not a defenseman that was expected to make the team that year that he did, but we found some chemistry. And I think both obviously are going to help each other. And then you become a tandem and a duo. But rarely are you going to have the same type of defenseman, right? So like me and Keith Yandel, not that Keith will listen, but if he does, shout out to Keith. Love Keith. He was a very good defenseman, but we played together at times in New York, and we were like, I love you, but we fucking don't belong on the ice at the same time, right? Like it was a terrible combination because we both wanted to jump up. We both wanted the puck. So you have to have the right combination.
Okay. I love this question from Stephanie K. Is there anyone in hockey that is a big enough jerk for you to openly shit talk on a podcast? And no reporters here, so let's talk players. Is there anybody who's like, hey, fuck this guy?
Not a person.
Any reporters or
No,
any
players.
Oh no, I won't talk shit about players.
Okay.
Unless you asked me to talk. What was the question? Would I talk shit about a player or a reporter?
Yeah,
anyone in hockey,
but
well, I mean, yeah, no, I won't shit talk about players. I played 18 years.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I mentioned maybe 10%, which was just a round number I gave guys that I didn't necessarily love, but you know, that's life. You're not going to get along with everybody. For the most part, most players, I don't have a lot of bad things to say about them. Did I love everything that they did and the ways that they play? Probably not, but still good people, hardworking people for the most part. With the media, I mean, there's no secret. Obviously, me and Larry Brooks,
right?
Probably the most views I ever got was not as a player, but as my outro, my exit meeting in New York. So obviously, you know, I've been verbal about him, and you know, I understand the media has a job to do, and they're going to be critical, and I'm completely fine with that. I played 18 years. No one ever really bothered me. But I believe it's not even me. It's just when everyone that's been there in the past, guys had reached out to me after that came out saying, thank you. Current players, past players. He seems to do that to a lot of people. And I just don't think that's right. I think when you're looking for that story instead of covering the team the way they should be covered was wrong. And I kept silent for 2 years because it was my job to stay silent. But on my way out, I wasn't going to stay quiet anymore. So I don't know him as a man. I don't know him as a brother, as a father. He might be a great friend. But as someone who covered the Rangers, I thought he did an absolutely terrible, selfish job of putting his storylines and creating drama instead of covering the team the way they're supposed to be covered. And a lot of the shit that he wrote down was incorrect too, which was wrong. When you're shit talking guys and trashing guys when they're not on the ice, they're not responsible for a goal. I think it becomes personal at some point. When the team's 7-0 and you release a full page article that says boiled over, meaning like I'm done after a 7-game winning streak, that seems like pretty fucked up to me. So I would say Larry Brooks, as everyone knows,
yes,
we are not very big fans of each other.
Is there?
I don't know him as a person.
Yeah. Is there anybody else? And you don't have to tell us today. We can save it for another podcast. But anybody else in hockey?
No, I think I've had 2 run-ins in 18 years. The other was Mark Purdy. We talked about.
Okay.
After he came in, the LA series, where he asked me if we were just taking our time trying to close out the series, and I just thought that was an absolutely stupid question. So, but again, I don't have a problem with the media. You guys have a job to do. I mean, Sheng Peng, not a huge fan, but
enough to come on the podcast.
I thought I was going to hear a compliment for once.
Enough to come on the podcast. You wouldn't go on Larry Brooks'
he tolerates
podcast.
me.
That's what I'm saying.
No, you're right. No, but yeah, you guys have a job to do as long as, and no one's going to be perfect. I loved Randy and Drew and the guys that had covered me in Tampa, and No issues. No issues. Just had an issue with somebody in New York there.
And with Randy Hahn's golf game. So
Yeah, it is.
You know what? Randy's the best, but his golf game still sucks. But he's got a hole in one. He's got a hole in one.
Whoa.
Oh, he does.
Not a lot of people have that.
Now that's a story we need to have. But I don't know.
Oh, he has video. Make sure he bring.
I'm sure he'll send
gives
it
you
to me
guys,
right
shows
after
you or
this-
gives you guys the video. It's
He'll reply on
very
the
interesting.
YouTube comments with the video.
yeah.
Very well. All right, this one's more lighthearted because that was a little serious there. This one's from RPhillips, which is, when you watch a game, do you enjoy it like a fan would, or are you watching it like a player would watch film of themselves, like looking at matchups, spacing, power plays, those kind of things?
I would say it's a combination of both. If I know certain players, and like I said, as I'm getting older, there's less and less guys. I will watch it, watching my buddy, making sure how he's doing well. Or if I'm watching Elaine Hutson or somebody that I want to watch, it'll be, it could be a little more technical. I remember a couple years ago, Nolan Pratt in Colorado, him and I had talked, I'm going to blank on his name, smaller defenseman, for Colorado, still there, number 6.
Gerard.
Yeah. Sammy Gerard. He had asked me to watch him for a few games and give advice.
Cool.
And I did. I think it was well received. Obviously, I hope it was. At least I was told it was. So I don't mind doing that, but that was a specific one where I was watching. And then you just have your watching a game and just enjoying the game as it is. Usually in playoffs, it's more just watching the intensity and watching it as it is. Or I'll watch Colorado and watch Cale Makar and just be like, that's fucking awesome. And, it's pretty amazing to watch.
It's good to also notice we got hockey tonight, boys. Like, we have actual NHL.
That's true.
That's right.
Tonight.
Actual
I'm
NHL
so
hockey.
excited.
That's right.
So excited.
I wanted to ask you, Dan, I guess a little follow-up to that is, are there any, current players that, you're closest with, that you kind of cheer the most for, right? Like, it might have been, I know you're close with, you mentioned Logan, right? But he obviously stepped away.
Yeah.
But anybody that's still playing that you're like, yeah, man, I want that guy to win
every
or something.
Yeah, every year there's less and less. Obviously Burnsy's still playing.
Okay, Burnsy, okay.
There's a couple guys, Cam Talbot was one of my goalies in New York. I love, Cam, Chris Kreider. There's a few young guys. JT Miller, who was very young when I was in New York. Kevin Hayes. So yeah, there's fewer and fewer every year. But I think still enjoy watching, buddies, I guess.
Cool. This one's from Pescadito, and this is not light. There's 2 questions, though. These are such good questions that I want to ask both of them. The first one, Dan, is do you think the NHL should further or better acknowledge the devastating effects of CTE?
What's that? What'd you ask? No, I'm kidding. That was a bad joke. That was a bad joke.
It was well timed.
I have very, very dark humor. I have very dark humor. What was your question again? No, okay. Should the NHL, I mean, just in general, I think, every sport that has concussions on a regular basis should probably do their part. And looking into it, obviously, with the NFL, you have these guys wearing these goofy looking helmets.
Yeah.
And sure, maybe it's goofy, but that comes from studies and it comes from, professionals trying to figure out ways of lessening those. They're never going to go away completely, but designing new helmets, any way that we can bring those down is something that obviously we should all support. So are they doing enough? I can't answer that, but they should certainly be doing some for sure.
Okay. And kind of a separate question, but also a very good question. Without outing anybody, were there any openly gay hockey players when you played or that everyone kind of knew about or you knew about? And how do you think in general NHL room would react to a player coming out?
I don't mind the question, but in 18 years, I actually don't know if has there ever been a gay hockey player come out?
Not in the NHL. I think
at the NHL level, of course. I mean, no. So no. I mean, Yeah, it's not something that has ever come up in 18. Not just it's never come up in the NHL as a whole. Now, if you use statistics in life,
Right.
you would think that's not possible.
Right.
And then how would we? I think the truth is, can I sit here and say there wouldn't be jokes and jabs? No, a locker room is a tough place to be, no matter if you're gay, straight, your dick size, your color of your, you know what I mean? Like it's yeah. But it's fair game for everybody.
Sure.
But it's one of those tough, it's locker room love, I call it. Like you just, everybody kind of makes fun of each other, but at the end of the day, you're all brothers. So, so there would, I'm sure, be some jokes. But that being said, would I care if there was a gay player on my team or not? I don't give a shit. As long as he helps me win hockey games, I couldn't care less. And there's nothing wrong with that. So it's not even, I didn't expect to have that. I didn't have this on my bingo card either, but
we got some.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't think it would be a problem because it's who we are as a human race. We that's who we are.
Well, let me go deeper, though, because I do have a follow-up. Do you think, though, that you would have teammates that might have an issue with it? Like, you don't, and probably most of your teammates wouldn't, but you might be a
again,
couple.
if based on statistics in the world, then there would be some guys that would have issues with it.
That's normal. That makes sense. Makes sense.
There's racism, there's sexism, there's homophobia. You would think that somebody would have a problem with it.
Sure.
Okay. Not me.
Okay.
Right.
Unless he didn't work hard and didn't fucking make us win games, then I'm coming in. No.
That's it.
No, I'm kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Okay, Finco asked your thoughts on playing your offhand, because that's always a big discussion with defensemen, playing your offside. Yeah, is that a huge consideration, or is that maybe a little overblown in your opinion as a defenseman?
No, it's weird. Not weird. It's different. It has probably a few advantages sometimes. There are a few advantages. If you're on the wrong side in the offensive zone, you're loading up for one-timers all the time. So there are advantages, but there's obviously disadvantages. Picking up a puck off the wall on your backhand or your forehand. For me, coming down as a defenseman or skating back, a guy coming to my right towards the boards was what I was used to. So if I had to flip, it's not that I can't do it. It's just when you do something 95 times in a row one way, and then you got to do it 5 times the other way for 18 years, it's going to be awkward. So again, I think ideally you want guys on their own sides, but again, based on who you want to keep on the team, you may have to make a sacrifice, which is, hey, I'd rather have this guy on his offside than send him to the minors or back to college or whatever it may be. I'd rather have player A be on the opposite side. And so those are choices you make as a team.
All right. I don't know this band, but Dylan Smallwood, I'm imagining this is a band, not just a thing.
It might be a movie, but go ahead.
Might be a movie. Might be a movie. Have you ever seen Bloodsucking Freaks? If not, why? If so, thoughts? Don't know if it's a band or a movie.
Okay, so the answer is no. I haven't seen them because I don't know if it's a band or a movie. BY, I've never heard of them. DY, I've never heard of them.
I'm gonna look this up then. Yeah.
C, I don't know what is C. What is the third question, or was there no third question?
I think this is a movie. This is the first thing that comes up. It's a horror comedy. The one
See, okay, so right there,
okay.
Horror comedies are not my thing. Horror comedies are. I'm actually going to bring up the movie I saw the other night with my kids, which was really nice on HBO Max. I'm going to plug it right now. Bring Her Back on HBO Max.
Okay.
Cult/cannibalism, super good. Get the kids, get everyone around.
Get the missus.
Family night.
What the fuck are you talking
Get
about?
the missus.
But it's on HBO Max right now, and it's pretty awesome. And
but it's not a comedy.
But
It's just
straight
really
horror,
enjoyed
not
it.
horror comedy.
yeah, but the comedy horrors, those are not my forte. So that's probably why I didn't see it, assuming that's what it is.
Oh, okay. So you like
Got
kind
it.
of
I like
more
dark.
horror,
I like
be more
dark.
comedy.
I like
Yeah.
dark, like let's get weird horror, not let's make fun. Let's laugh.
Well, this one is like, according to this, I don't know how much comedy it is. It's just what it's categorized, but it might be. It could be up your alley. It's a exploitation splatter film from 1976, and the one sentence plot is: a sadist kidnaps young women and tortures and kills them on stage, but his audiences think it is fake. So anyway,
What's the name? That's the movie we just talked about?
Yeah, that's the movie. It's called Blood-Sucking Freaks.
Okay, because
3 words.
The description sounds like another movie I watched where it's like a night, like a David Letterman or like a Jay Leno type of show, and then weird shit starts to happen, and the audience thinks it's not true, but it's actually true. But different movie.
Sure. Okay. All right.
Well, Dylan Smallwood seems to like it, so give it a shot.
Yes, exactly. So I want to recommend it to you. Then might be something that you might find entertaining. But don't. That's only something to watch with the kids, though. All right.
My kids will watch it.
Yeah, they'll watch it. Okay. All right. That Brad Fitzpatrick asked just for you to talk candidly about just the mental side of 2010 playoffs when you scored the own goal, and just how you felt after you scored the own goal, and just obviously when you scored the next game too.
Yeah, I've been asked that question a lot. I will preface it yet again to those that don't know. It did go off of O'Reilly's shin pad, so it was not straight in. I remember Cranky gave me the pass, and he was coming at me, and I knew he was going to try to take the wall away. So that's the safe play, even though I think he would have probably taken it away from me. So I tried to go inside. Again, and I've said this before, I can stay there on Nabby for probably a week straight and try 1,000 backhands and never score a goal from there. So it was a freak situation. That being said, we still lose the game. I have to go back in the locker room. It's a playoff game. I feel like shit. I feel terrible. It was tough. And I remember, I think it was Scott Emmert said, "Hey, media wants to talk to you, but just go shower. You can avoid him." And I said, no. I remember saying no, because I knew that would just be hiding, and that was never who I was. So I said, bring him in. And I don't remember the questions. I blacked out at this point, but I remember facing the media head on and like, this is a terrible feeling. And I remember wanting or saying something like, I wish it was a double header. Like, I wish it was like baseball where I could go out and play right away. The worst part was going to have to be to wait 48 hours. So like many games in my life, I was the type of player where I would go home, and I remember having this conversation with Larry Robinson. It'd be like a movie in your head that you can't turn off. So it would just replay over and over and over again. In the middle of the day while you're walking somewhere, it was just replaying, and you can't shut it off. And it's a terrible, terrible feeling. And I had that. I called them movies. I couldn't shut them off. And so that was the worst part. It was 48 hours of just fucking playing it over and over in my head. I couldn't do anything about it. But the best part of the whole story is the next game. I'm very happy or very proud of how I played. Our team won the game. We won the series. It just ends up being a shitty part turned into a pretty awesome story about overcoming what was a pretty low moment. Sure.
Chris Robinson asked, and it's asked for good prank stories from various teams that you've been on. Let's not go with the scare tactics one, because we talked at length about that a couple episodes ago. So any scare tactics runner-up prank stories you can share?
I have a good one. Okay, sorry. I have a really good one. I don't know if it'll be 100% accurate, but it'll be at least 85 to 90% accurate.
It's good enough.
I was in Florida.
Okay.
With the Panthers, and we were on a long road trip. Like, let's call it 12 days, almost 2 weeks. And on day 2, I don't know if you guys remember Mike Sillinger.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay, so Mike Sillinger, who's played on like 15 teams in the league, right? So Mike Sillinger had a denture. Like he had fake uppers and lowers. He had a full-blown denture. And on the road, Ray Whitney, the wizard Ray Whitney, stole his teeth and put them in an envelope and sent him back to Florida. And so for the next like I would say 10 or 11 days, Mike Sillinger and so for pre-games, he couldn't have steak, he couldn't have chicken. He was having soup and fucking smoothies. He couldn't fucking eat, which is probably not funny to him, but like for like 10 days. And then he got home and I don't know if his wife was like, your teeth are here, Mike, or whatever. And I thought it was hilarious. And then the return wasn't as funny, but Mike Sillinger put, I guess cops have like a blue dye of some kind where it's like some sort of evidence dye. And he put a bunch of, it's powder, so you can't tell. So Ray Whitney put on his gloves, practice. And then after the game, he had like Smurf hands, just totally blue. But all right. So, I mean, it was in a good attempt at trying to get back, but to see Mike Sillinger for 10 days, not have any teeth on the road was pretty fucking funny. Very funny.
Worth it.
This is Ray Whitney, who I believe currently works for the NHLers.
Oh yeah, he interviewed for the Sharks GM, didn't he? Did he interview for the Sharks GM? Or am I dreaming?
He did. Yeah.
That's why he didn't get the job. No. That's a pretty.
Put a recommendation, and that's like nope.
That's a pretty funny one. Then the other one I could think of, not quite as funny, but in the morning you come in and there's always like a table with a bunch of things to sign. There's sticks and helmets and whatever. And then Mark Bergevin, who was with me in Tampa, put Stan Neskatch's actual gloves on there. So we all came in, we all signed, like, cause you don't look, you just sign. And then, and then Stan didn't really have backup gloves. So he ended up playing with those gloves for at least a few games until he broke in a new pair. Where it was just signatures everywhere. So that was also pretty funny.
Yeah, I gotta see if there's any pictures on Getty Images of
So Stan Neskatch, that was a good one.
That is a good one.
All right, Rothgar asks, and this I'm probably not the one to be asking this because I don't know the story entirely. What's the inside story of how you became friends with Sheng and Zubair and joined the podcast, and what was the hook to get you on this podcast with us?
Oh, probably not friends. Because,
I think I could be wrong. Sheng promised me $500,000.
Yep, that's accurate.
Yes, 500,000 pesos. Yes.
Sheng reached out and said, "Would you be interested?" And I don't recall if I was warm on it or hot or cold. I might have been somewhere in between. And then he said, "Well, let's go out. Let's meet out for a drink." And then we ended up meeting Zubair, who him and I hit it off. We had a great fun night. I don't think talked about hockey very much.
Nope.
We talked about movies and music and
that's the Tom Cruise night and Human
and
Centipede.
and I think that's probably at the end of the day why I'm here today, because I thought we hit it off on things that I thought only me and very few people knew about. I was very surprised to hear that these two knew all the weird shit I listened to or watched, and even knew more than I did on some parts. And so I think that drew me in. And then I think that's it. I mean, I've been enjoying it so far. I didn't know how long I was going to do it, but I like having some. I'm not a big drinker per se, but to have a couple drinks in the afternoon with some buddies once a week has been a nice little added bonus.
Well, we love you too, Dan, though you are a sick individual, but I'm not
Very
judgmental. I'm not
Very.
judgmental though, so.
Very.
And we have hockey soon. Oh my god, it's gonna be the best. We have actual games to
Continue yourself.
review.
Keep it in your pants, Keegan.
I can't. I'm so excited. You have no idea. It's like a kid on Christmas.
Okay, Joe E. He asked, basically, he's trying to see if there's any parallels between Warsawski and Tortorella, not in style, but just in the sense that when Tortorella took over Tampa, that there's a lot of negative defensive stats, right? All that sort of thing, right? The next year, the first full year, I didn't double check this, but I guess the first full year with Tortorella, you guys jumped to 93 points. And anyway, can you speak to what was the key change for you guys to improve that much defensively? How much do you think the coach and staff were responsible for it, is the question.
So I'm a bad person to answer that question because I wasn't on the team previously before Torts got there. I got traded at the halfway point. And so
I think he took over at the end of the year, though. That's why I got to double check. I'm pretty sure he did, but let me double check.
When I got to Tampa, he was already there. So
okay.
I never got to play for another coach and see the difference. So I'm a bad person to ask.
Right. But I guess the next year, though, you guys did improve to 93 points. So how much do you think that improvement, without the point of comparison, but how much do you think was that John and the coaches?
I mean, I didn't think coaches were that important until I retired. I think I looked back at the way I was coached early and late and compared that to the middle part and how valuable a coach can be and how they motivate, how they teach. And I thought, he was nowhere near perfect, but he's a very good motivator. And I think his biggest asset was knowing who to play, knowing how much to play them. He wasn't, I'm going to rest this guy tonight, or he was like, no, he was just like, you get back out there. You're the ones that are going to make me win the games. And so I think as players, we have to take, they just put a good team together. I think, obviously they brought in Marty and you bring in like Dave and Andy is who I want to say. Tails and Modine. And so I think they just put together a good team over the course of a year and a half. So I think players have to take some of that. The point increase, I think, belongs partially to the players. But, I'm sure Torts played his part in it as well. I just wasn't there before he got there, so I can't compare.
Okay. This is from Boomer, and this is maybe that's an obvious answer, but it's also a more nuanced hockey question too. As an NHL defenseman, did you prefer playing teams that enter the zone with a lot of speed and it's dump pucks in a lot and force you to turn your back, like have a guy like Scott Nickel, coming down on you? Or did you prefer teams that try to attack you more head on? So, try to carry the puck in, and so you can keep them in front of you, I guess. But I guess those teams would probably be faster, though. So that would be kind of the issue.
Yeah, that's a tough question. That's a tough question to answer. I mean, my instinct is to say I'd rather teams carry the puck in. Because any team that plays a dump and chase usually means they're making you go back and they're making you get hit up against the glass of the board. Sure. So at the end of the day, not at the end of the day, but I would say a dump and chase team would probably be less of a fun night for me. But that's why you have good partners that go in the corners and get the puck for you. But there's the other thing too. There's the forwards got to help out. If the forwards were giving me time to go back there and get the puck, it didn't matter if it was a dump and chase team or not, as long as I had time to go back and get the puck. Back in pre-2004, you can do a lot more, picking. So you didn't have to get run over every time.
Right. Would you prefer playing the 2012 Kings or Connor McDavid in 2015?
You know what? I mean, that's a good question. I liked speed. I was a good skater. So I would probably prefer playing that style of game. And just, this is not a question, but I have been asked before, the red line or pre-red line or post-red line. I would, if it was me, I would put the red line back in, meaning
Okay.
I don't like those long passes where players just tip their blades and it goes in the other end. I don't think that's a skill play. As defenseman, I'd rather see somebody have to try to make a skill play than throw these long bombs to these players that are flipping their blades. So that I didn't like. It was more of like I just thought it was bad and shitty hockey.
Okay.
But nobody wants to see Connor McDavid come on them 100 miles an hour, so nobody likes that.
Yeah, there's a balance.
No matter how good of a
Worst case.
skater I was. No matter how
in
good a
either
skater
scenario,
I was.
yeah.
Yeah. What you want is a team that's entering the zone, but they do it really poorly the entire night. That's what you want.
Basically, yeah.
That's what you
Or a
want.
Give me
fast
that.
player that can't handle
Give
a
me
puck.
that.
So.
Give me that.
Yep, 100%. All right, GH asks, how great was it to be a roadie for Faith No More? Was wondering what your experience was with Mike Patton and the rest of the band. And there's a second question on this too.
Not the music one, so we'll answer.
Another
Yeah,
music
I don't.
question.
We know you like these.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, Faith No More was my favorite band growing up. And years later, and I apologize to those that have heard this story 100 times, but they reunited after 10 years. They had been done. They reunited to play 4 games at the Warfield. I had now assistant GM Tom Holy. I said, just get me in there. I don't care where or how. And so he not only got me in, I was just hoping to get nosebleed tickets, but he got me in touch with their manager. Next thing you know, I'm walking underneath and I'm in their dressing room. You know, Puffy's there, and then Mike comes in. And I've met a lot of people. I have not been starstruck at all, but I was pretty starstruck that day. And then years later, they went out on tour. And so I was in New York at the time, and I went on a little 4 venue mini trip, if you will, over the course of 6 nights, I think. Philly, Boston, I can't think of Baltimore, maybe, and then New York. I mean, the first show, I wasn't doing a whole lot. By the last show, I was on stage setting up drum kits, bringing out basses and guitars. I was doing tickets. I was doing stuff like green room, like setup.
Yeah.
I was doing a bunch of shit. They had me doing a bunch of shit. And I liked it. They didn't pay me. It was like, I don't know. It became like, holy fuck, this is pretty awesome. And, you know, it was only for a week. So it wasn't like I was my job and doing it for a lifetime, because that would probably be different. But, you know, and Mike was great. They were all very receptive, I think. We all seem to get along. Mike has a very sick, twisted movie. Him and I mean, like, have you seen this? And he'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, no one has seen that. But Mike has some really fucked up taste in movies too. And so we definitely clicked on that. And my favorite moment was just the rehearsals, just me, and it was like a private concert of my favorite band. You know, some of the best moments or memories I'll have when my light flashes before my eyes. That'll probably be one of them.
Awesome.
Love it. TH also asks, was wondering, and this is also something I don't know, but was wondering what you feel about Mr. Bungle's last album. I feel like they lost their eclectic originality and become a bit redundant with Fantoma's heavier thrash metal sound. I gotta finish all that.
Okay.
I don't know what the words are.
So who is this
GH.
person?
His name is GH.
So-
or his
so-
or her
so-
name is GH.
So yeah, GH should know that the last album was their very first album when they were in high school that they redid. So the Mr. Bungle that I grew up on and loved is not the original Mr. Bungle that they ended up redoing this album about. So the album she's referring to is thrash metal, like Death Slayer type, like Slayer on crack, like not the Mr. Bungle I grew up with. Not to mention they have new band players on the new album that they didn't have in the original. It was like a demo tape back when they were literally in high school when they released this album. Wow. And so the one they redid is not the Mr. Bungle that this person probably knew. And that's why they probably thought it was like different. The reason is because it was not new material. It was a completely old album they just re-recorded. And then Scott from Anthrax was part of the band as well. So it was a completely new band as well. But go listen to Mr. Bungle, like California, and The one before, I don't even know. I think it was just called Mr. Bungle. Fucking incredible music.
We
Give them some
need
peace
to
of
try
mind.
to get Mr.
Give them some
What's
peace
that?
of mind that it's
Oh,
things are still like the original Mr. Bungle.
And then Phantomos. Phantomos is probably one of the weirdest
Yeah.
bands I've ever listened to. So
Phantomos. Okay, that's
go
it.
enjoy Phantomos, because even I love Mike. He's probably been in like 15 bands, and I probably love 13 of them. Phantomos is a difficult one to get through.
Okay.
You may want to stick some scissors in your eyeballs while you're listening to it.
Sure.
So it's weird.
All right. SJ Shorkey, he asked, in his opinion, it seems to him that today's NHL has decided that it's fine to hit guys in the numbers as long as they're up against the boards. This used to draw boarding calls in your era, Dan. And so seems to Shorkey that careers are going to be shortened with the repeated trauma to the spine. And so, anyway, thoughts?
So I don't know if I'm going to describe it properly, but there's something that I think the NHL should have allowed years ago, and I hope that they will by the time I croak. As forwards go towards the boards with a defenseman, or anyone really, I think they should allow like some sort of a bear hug type where you're going in with the player and you're both absorbing the boards together. So in football, with the lineman, you get to like grab and like, obviously if he's trying to pass you, then you got to let go, right? But I think it's sort of in that world where you should be able to, as the puck is going back, you're going in with a D-man, you grab him, go in with him, and both absorb the hit. I think that is way safer than the defenseman going first, and then there's contact.
Yeah.
Numbers or not, if you go this way versus coming into the boards together and absorbing it together, call it bear hugging, call it whatever you want, that should be allowed. And I think that's a way that will make a huge difference injury-wise. So that's something that I would push for. The NHL guys probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Players know exactly what I'm talking about. Obviously, you can't do it 10 feet from the boards where you're just not allowing someone to go. But it's just 3-4 feet from the boards where you're both going in at the same time. Just grab him, allow to be grabbed, and just both go into the boards together. And he did his job, and he protected me as a defenseman going on the board. So I would take that all day.
With something like that, though, I'm just imagining it. Would it be to the advantage of whoever does not have the puck, whoever's defending, kind of?
It would be advantage to the player that doesn't have the puck, because if you're with somebody that's shifty, it'll eliminate that. You don't have to like now all of a sudden react when you're 2 feet away, and he can go left or right and beat you. So if you're going in with whoever, Cale Makar or whoever, he won't shimmy shake you. But there has to be like, it's got to be 3 or 4 within 3 or 4 feet. Right. It's like a lineman in football, right? Like they can call holding on any given point, but like a lineman can grab you.
It's like a selective holding that you can do.
It's a selective
I'm not
holding
with you, but yeah, I'm just thinking about it.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and obviously you learn to call it as guys learn it. You learn to call when, hey, like you did this when you were 7 feet away from the boards and you were just grabbing on, not letting him go. Then that's bullshit.
Right.
It'd be like holding in football. You just have to figure it out.
It becomes a judgment call.
It's a judgment call.
When does it stop too? Like when do you then say you've held on too much?
Well, that's the thing. There's a time limit.
Yeah.
And there's a depth
Distance,
limit.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that in the middle of the ice.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Call it 3 feet around the whole around the whole rink.
Okay.
Doesn't mean you eliminate the hits, right? If I'm going in and somebody's 10 feet away and they're coming to get me, they have every right to finish me. But when two players are going back, dump and chase, and two guys are going back, Maxime Lapierre, like one of my concussions, right? Had he just gone in with me and like we both would have absorbed the hit.
Right.
But he came in late, hit me from behind, and all of a sudden there's a concussion that could have been avoided with that. He would have taken me out, done his job as a forward, and I would have not had a concussion.
Okay. SJ Shorkey also recommended some music to you, so
Okay, I'm always open to hear new stuff.
And hopefully I'm saying the band names right, but Tesseract, the War of Being album, Sky Harbor, Disperse, Periphery,
No.
Aviations. I think these are all band names. Preston Meckel and The Contortionists. Yeah, they are all bands. And I guess if you haven't heard any of them, we're giving free pub to all these bands. So
yeah,
I'll send
just
you
make
the list, Dan, if you want.
Send me the list. Send me the list. I always love checking them out. Hopefully they're.
Okay.
I'm assuming these bands are all similar, and I'm assuming these bands are from someone that knows the bands that I like, because if they sound
I think I got an early part of the question. You might have mentioned Faith No More. I think so.
So if they're bands that sound like.
It seems like they're all doing, or they're current bands, because they're all putting out music now. So.
Yeah, but with like that kind of influence, though.
Okay, I love
bands that you like. So
I love listening to new bands for sure.
Okay, so this one, as you mentioned before, that you didn't play on a lot of losing teams. So, but I'm still curious about your perspective, though. This is from Eric, and he asked, through difficult seasons for teams, there's always the debate as to whether the young kids in a locker room, like, they need old veterans who maybe aren't playing as much or playing as well as they used to. And so, do you have any specific examples of kind of young players, what they need to learn to be effective for pro hockey players from the old guys? You know, what does mentorship look like for a losing locker room? And basically, this fan wants to make sure that the Sharks aren't anything like the Buffalo Sabres.
Well, you got to bring in the right people. You can bring veterans in, but if the veterans aren't good, either players or they don't have good, and there's not a ton of those players out there, but if they don't have the right, if they're not cut from the right cloth, then, I think there's definitely always something to learn from a veteran. Whether that's something on the ice, but sometimes it's something off the ice, right? It could be, I can't think of who it was, but like, this is going to sound the opposite of what a veteran should say, but I remember, like, I'd stay on the ice, I'd get on the ice early, I'd get on the ice after, which is looked upon as like, oh, this guy's working hard. I remember a vet saying, like, one time he's like, dude, like, take a fucking break. Like, I don't remember who it was. But it was just
in Florida or Tampa?
It was in Florida. I just remember him saying, like, it was just him saying, like, relax.
Yeah.
It was him saying, it was his way of saying, like, relax. You're obviously you work hard. You're trying to, like, play more, but, like, you play 82 games a year. I wasn't, but the team plays 82 games a year, and you gotta let loose sometimes and breathe. So, I think there's something to be learned as a young guy from veterans that have played many, many games, many situations, specific on ice stuff, but there's also some off ice stuff as well that you would never think of because you don't know.
I don't know how much you stay in like NHL gossip circles, but like, do you have any perspective of why it's taken so long in Buffalo, just from talking to friends, anything like that?
The Bills are really good, so you can get people to Buffalo. You can.
Exactly. Yep. You don't need palm trees.
But not having watched them closely, maybe they just haven't had the right players. I don't know. But Kevin Adams, who's my college teammate from Miami, Ohio, is the GM there. I know he's been there for a few years now, so the clock is ticking.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, when a team is not winning and making the playoffs for a decade at a time, and the Sharks are coming up on 6 years now.
Yep. 7.
There's a 7. There's a lot of factors there. And it's not. You're normally not going to have the same coach. You're not going to have the same GM that go through because you're going to move those people. So yeah, I don't know. I think I like what's going on here in San Jose. I don't know exactly what's going on in Buffalo. But I think the players have to take some responsibility, obviously, like a large responsibility. Maybe you just don't have the right guys.
Yeah. They brought in Josh Norris this year, so I don't know. I think this year's the year. I'm gonna say they make
this year's the year for Buffalo.
This is the year. I'm saying.
Okay, bold prediction time. Okay.
Bold prediction. Like they got a good team. They really do.
I talked about scouting, how that's a very underappreciated. They have probably had some busts. They've always drafted very high. I can't think of the one guy. You guys will, but they was first or second overall. I might be going back 10 years, but he never panned out.
Well,
he said his name.
But
it wasn't Eichel. I want to say it might have been a Russian name. He was a very high draft pick and that was a first over or very high pick. Anyways, somebody can.
Oh, that might be the Oilers, actually. Anyway, though.
No, it was Buffalo. It was Buffalo.
Oh, it was Buffalo. Okay, I'm trying to think of who.
Well, you know what? There is one guy in Edmonton that didn't work out too. What was his name?
Yakupov.
Yeah, Yakupov is one of them. That's Edmonton.
Yeah.
But I feel like there was one in Buffalo. But anyway, so scouts have a responsibility there as well to maybe draft correctly. And I don't know.
Or even the pro scouts.
I don't know if Buffalo they have. I don't know if they have. That might be part of the reason they haven't made the playoffs as well.
James R says, with all the captain talk recently, I'd love to hear about how an NHL team usually selects its captain and their alternate captains. Do the players get a vote? Is it a coach thing, a GM thing? Do all teams do it the same way?
I think I've only been through one team, which was San Jose, where a captaincy was up for grabs. Florida was Scott Mellenby. Tampa was Dave Anderchuk. New York was McDonough. So I'm not 100% entirely sure, but I do remember they wanted some feedback one year. I can't remember. Obviously, I went through Jumbo, Patty, and Blakey. So I went through 3 captains. I believe at some point there was some sort of like, hey, after practice, come in, or some sort of unofficial vote. But I think it's a combination of the GM, the coaches, and the players having a say. But that was my experience. Some other teams, it might just be just the coach or just the GM, and this is the guy.
I think in Tampa you transitioned from Andreychuk to Tim Taylor. I don't know what.
That's right. And I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a CTE issue. I don't remember having a say in that because I don't even remember him being a captain.
Right.
I know Tim and Andy were very tight. They were the 2 old guys on the team.
Right.
With the most games, so it might have just been like, let's just pass the C on to the next, the kind of, 1B, if you will. But yeah, I don't even remember Tim being the captain, I guess.
There was the lockout year in between it too, so it could have been some kind of like.
So we had a lockout year. Yeah, we had a lockout year in 2005. And then in 2006 was, I think, the year that I slipped my wrist.
Yeah.
So, which is another podcast. I didn't actually slice my wrist, people. A skate slit my wrist.
Yeah.
Not on
so you know what? I was away from the team, and that might have been the year that he was the captain because I don't remember it.
And then
it's very possible.
Your Sharks example, did you talk with Doug and Todd, or just Doug, or just Todd?
I don't want to give false information. I don't recall.
Okay.
My guess would be that I spoke to Todd, but it's a educated guess. It's not something that I remember clearly.
Okay. All right. Dylan C has a golf question.
Oh, love
and
it.
hopefully I'm explaining this all correctly. Could you win the Masters starting on the green? Assuming you start on the putting surface. Okay, so now I get that.
Of the first hole or every hole?
I guess at the end. I don't know. Or every hole you get to start on the green, I guess.
Yeah. Then I'm winning. 100% I'm winning the Masters.
Okay, as far away from the pin as possible. Every other player starts on the tee box like normal. What do you think you would shoot?
Well, normal putting is a 2-putt is a good putt. So you're talking 36.
Yeah.
Now at the Masters, even if you 3-putt every hole,
right, you're gonna have 54.
You're going 54.
Yeah.
And then you probably at the Masters, because they're so fast, you probably have a couple 4-putts. So I would probably shoot 60 at the Masters or less.
Okay, well that's a course record, I think.
If I was just putting. So very weird question. Had to think about it, but yes.
Yeah.
Put me on the putting green at the Masters and I will win the Masters.
Okay.
Love it.
All right. This is actually my favorite question from Falco 5 from all this. I wonder how you would answer this. Who would win a roster of, I'm going to say 5 makes more sense. And let's say a roster of 5 Dan Boyles versus a roster of 5 Marc-Edouard Vlasics. And let's say the goaltending is equal, you know what I mean? So the goaltending isn't a difference. So 5 Dan Boyles in your prime.
Well, you guys know what I'm going to say. Obviously, I'm going to say me. I'm going to say me. I mean, that's not to take away what Pickles has done. Obviously, played a billion games, was very strong defensively.
But your rationale for it, though?
Well, my rationale is I want the puck, and I choose myself. What
if every Dan Boyle is choosing himself, though? That's 4 clones of Dan Boyle.
It could be a selfish puck-hogging team. Dan.
No, because I was not a selfish hockey player. I was not a selfish hockey player. So if every Dan Boyle picks himself as the question, to answer the question, we would go out there, we would try to do anything it takes to win. So it wouldn't matter which Dan Boyle I was passing it to. But I just
It's a hive mind.
It's really Here comes the old Boyle thinks Pickles sucks. That's not what it is. It's just I choose myself.
Oh, and actually I understand this question better. At first I thought that this question meant like Dan versus Pickles head to head. But actually, I think he's talking about roster construction, he or she, about like, if you're to build the ideal defense, would you want 6 Dan Boyles or 6 Marc-Edouard Vlasics? Okay. Well, so that is actually the more
again, I pick 6 Dan Boyles because I think I was more of a two-way defenseman than Pickles was. Meaning Pickles was great defensively, but his offense was limited. Whereas I don't look at myself as a purely only offensive defenseman. I mean, there were years with Pickles where I was part of a shutdown pair. So I guess the question could be, do you pick 5 offensive defensemen versus 5 defensive defensemen?
That's basically what Falco is trying to ask.
It's an impossible question to answer because I was an offensive defenseman, so I'm going with the offensive defenseman. You're gonna win game 7-5, but you're not. I don't know if I love the question, but I answered it. Cheers to me.
Well, I was going to ask if you feel confident with 6 defensemen under 6 feet to win, but you feel good about it seems like. But actually, what I asked about Pickles, though, I'm just curious about this very quickly, is was he underrated offensively a little bit, though? Like, because he put up some decent points. He was on the second power play unit at times, right? He wasn't you or Brent Burns, but like, was he underrated?
I guess. I mean,
you can say no. It's okay.
No, well, I would never. If you talk to me about Marc-Edouard Vlasic, it's going to be, you're going to talk about his defensive game, and if you talk about Dan Boyle, you're going to talk about his offensive game. I think I was underrated defensively, and
Yeah.
sure, he was probably underrated offensively. How about that?
Okay. All right. All love in the San Jose
Yeah, for
Hockey
sure.
Now locker
We love you,
room here.
Pickles. Come on the podcast. All right. Actually, it kind of ties in to this question, which is, what are your thoughts on the Sharks' defense this year? Do you think, how much of an improvement is it over last year's pairings? And we can get you the pairings if you want to know what Sheng has posted today about the possible season opening.
Give me the pairings right now as they are.
Letty-
They're gonna change.
Yeah.
Letty Klingberg.
You want to go ahead? Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Letty Klingberg, Ferraro Liljegren, Orlov Mukabadulin, Desharnais, and Dickinson. So those are the four.
Okay, but you don't have the actual pairings. Who's playing with who? Because you
No,
named
those are
3
the
and 3.
pairings.
Okay,
Those
Nick,
are the
start.
pairings.
Say it by two. Say
Letty
it
Klingberg.
per.
Okay. Why don't we switch off then? You go first, Keegan.
Letty and Klingberg is the first one.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Orlov.
Okay.
Oh, you want me to go ahead?
No.
Orlov,
Keep
Mukumadulin.
going. Okay.
Yeah, Orlov Mukumadulin.
Okay.
And then Ferraro Liljegren.
Okay.
And finally, Desharnais Dickinson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as I've said before, putting 2 offensive defensemen on the same pairing, unless you're behind a goal late in the game, is a terrible idea. So, from what I hear, 3 of those have that combination. The first one's a little more balanced with veteran guys. Letty and Klingberg being a little older, although Klingberg, was pretty offensive at one point. I mean, I like it. I don't. Again, the locker room is huge. There's the on ice product, but I think there's something to be said about what those guys bring in the locker room, how they are with younger guys, what is their effort level. There's a lot of things I want to see. So in comparison to, I already know what last year's defensive core did and what the year before. At the end of the day, they didn't make the playoffs. So can we blame them? Not entirely, but they were a part of it. So
Sure.
the idea here is that we have a better D core. And until the season is done, I won't be able to answer that fully and completely, but I'm excited to see what, obviously we're all excited to see what Dickinson's going to do.
But I think fans
there's a lot of new faces.
Yeah, fans might have been a little upset of Dickinson being slated on that 4th pairing to start the year. I think is that.
Okay. Well, I know you guys are going to talk about this after I leave, but people don't panic. It's just the first game. Ideally, we all want to see Misa Dickinson, and you want to see the new faces because you've been waiting for so long, and it sounds like you may not get to have what you want. I don't know. There's still time. I don't know. I mean, they have their ideas and their plans on how they want to bring those guys in, and sometimes I personally wouldn't want to do that. I would want to put, those guys out and see how they do, but sometimes there's so much energy and on opening night that sometimes you might want to hold a guy back for whatever reason. There must be a psychology to it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's also a pretty heavy team against Vegas, right?
Against who you're playing.
Yeah.
I remember, here's another not funny story, but I got called up. I was in Kentucky. I got sent to the minors. I got sent to Kentucky, which is not even Florida's farm team. Played 40 games. I don't say dominate because I've made fun of saying that word before, but I had a very good first half. I was in the All-Star game. I was the leading scorer, I think, for defensemen in like the AHL, or at least top 3. And I get called up. I'm thinking, holy fuck, I'm getting called up in the NHL. I'm like, my mind is blown. And I call my parents, and we're playing the Flyers. And call my parents. Everyone goes to the bar. There's 20, 25 people. They're all at the bar. They put the game on. It was at Don Cherry's. Shout out to Don Cherry's back in the day in Ottawa. And I was scratched. Why? Because the Flyers back then were a big team. They were a big team, heavy team. And
Lindros and Leclerc.
I probably, and for whatever reason. So here I am, get all pumped up that I got called up. Got everyone, and I got in the afternoon, I was told I wasn't playing. So, and then I played the next game, which in St. Louis, which was I guess at the time, I don't remember them being any smaller. But for whatever reason,
They didn't have a cool nickname, though.
for whatever reason, the coaches thought that I shouldn't play against. I remember the GM saying, "We're not going to play you against Philadelphia because they're a big team." I remember him specifically saying that to me.
Interesting.
And
okay.
so maybe there's a reason those guys may not play in the first game. Although personally,
yeah,
I would
Want
put
to see
them up.
it? Yeah.
let's sell
I
some
want to see
tickets.
it. I want to see it.
All right. This is a fun question from, actually, there's two very hard names to say here. From Craig Van Dierendonk. Okay, that's not that hard. Craig Van Dierendonk asked, did you hang out with Wally Szczerbiak when at Miami? And Wally Szczerbiak is a NBA player, Timberwolves.
I did not.
Okay.
Two reasons. Basketball team, hockey team, almost, I don't remember any of my friends being friends with those guys.
Why?
They were assholes. No, I don't. I think no. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Okay.
B, he had a girlfriend all 4 years, and I did not. So we wouldn't have been seen in the same circles.
Okay.
But I remember being friends with like a few football players. The main sport, I will throw it out to you guys.
The
Just
women's
to see a
volleyball
little
team.
poll, if you will. Which no men, because women, that's which sports team do you think I had not me, even as a hockey team, we had the most friendship with, like the best relationship with? That's my question to you guys.
Does golf count? Or I mean, like
Absolutely.
golf or baseball, maybe.
Okay.
Let me throw in one guess
Sheng?
just for the heck of it. How about?
And I'll even give you a 1 and a 2. Because there was a clear cut number 1, and then a maybe grayish number 2.
Did you have like you didn't have like a rugby team or anything like that? Lacrosse, rugby?
I
anything
don't
like that?
I don't think we had either.
Okay.
So those are
Okay.
well, I
I'll
just
say
gave away my
soccer then.
answer.
So,
Okay, no.
Yeah.
So the answer was number 2, reverse order, was the wrestling team, which is weird.
Okay.
They were just psychopaths. And number 1, to this day, I still have 4 guys that I still talk to this day, like 29 years later. The tennis team. The tennis team.
Really?
Miami of Ohio tennis team.
Yeah.
Just salt of the earth, good fucking dudes, man.
Yeah.
And we had our at Miami of Ohio where the athletes stayed. Our dorm was there where they played their matches was right outside of our dorm. And they would play in the off season when we weren't on. So we would.
Okay, that kind of makes sense too.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just the best. It was watching we were, not that we were
Interesting.
drinking. But yeah,
It was not
and
legal, but
the tennis team and the hockey team were,
I would not have thought Dennis. Yeah.
we're brothers.
I would
Yeah,
not
that's
have
a
guessed
weird
that either,
combination.
yeah.
But so back to the Wally Szczerbiak thing.
yeah.
Didn't know any basketball players. I know he was there at the same time I was, but zero friendship between the hockey players and the basketball players.
Okay, that's interesting. But anyway, okay. So we actually are great timing. We have just 2 more questions for you. So I think
Perfect.
we're gonna get this in here. So
That's great.
Gary 2 wanted to ask you about. This is depressing. Ask you about 2 disappointing playoff losses.
Great.
The 2011 Game 5 OT to the Canucks, the conference finals, or the 2014 reverse sweep in Game 7. And the question is, which of these 2 losses stung the most for yourself and in the locker room in general?
Well, the easy question would be, in general, would be the Los Angeles reverse sweep.
Sure.
Obviously, statistically, it's almost unheard of.
Right.
For me personally, it's the Vancouver one. The LA one, the reason is that was the year I got concussed. That was my last year as a Shark. As shitty as I was statistically, I gave the team everything I had that year, and I just wasn't myself. Even in the playoffs, I was a shadow of myself because I just and I take responsibility as for that loss. I was a big player, and I just couldn't, but I don't want to say an excuse, but I had a reason. So the Vancouver one for me, an opportunity to go to the Stanley Cup Finals is not something that, and I thought we had a very good team that year. I thought we were outplaying them in the series personally. And obviously the BX goal that no one saw go in was a tough way to go out. So that one stung only because I was at my best at that point. And
off the stanchion. Make that one.
That's a tough one. Because we were a very good team. I think we were a very good team. We were a better team that year than we were the year that we lost to LA. I also think the year we got swept by Chicago, I thought we outplayed them. And I know that's in a sweep. How can you say you thought you outplayed a team that beat you 4-0? But I truly believe that if you watched that series without the volume on and erased every goal that they scored, which I know is ridiculous, but if you watch 90% of the games, we were the dominant team.
Possession, offense, right? Yeah, I gotcha.
Shots on goal, possession, grade A chances. We were way, way ahead of Chicago. I think it might have been Nemo. Their goalie was so hot.
He was, yeah.
I believe it was Antoniemi. And then they had like Bufflin, and they had these timely goals. But overall, those games, it was just like we got swept. Like, what the? I don't understand. But you have a good goalie, timely goaltending, or timely scoring, and that's a good recipe for moving forward.
I guess a quick follow up to that is, what do you think the series should have been? Should it have been 3-1, you guys, 2-2?
I don't know that. I don't know. I mean, we were swept. So, right, how can I sit here and say it should have been 4-0? Like, right. So, I don't know. I mean, I remember outplaying them every night. And maybe I'll give you one of those games, but I don't, that series pissed me off because I thought we were the better team. But grade A chances don't mean shit.
All right, this is our last question. Unless if you're done, Sheng.
That's good.
I think so. There's one that I thought I saw, but you go ahead first. I'll see if I can find it. If not, then we can always ask Dan another time too. But
I like this, by the way. This is fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are enjoying it, if the people will enjoy it, but if they're like, I can't wait for him to stop talking now.
Yeah.
No, this has been enjoyable. And just to be clear, I didn't hear any of these questions before, so I have not prepared. I have not prepared the same way that I'm going to treat this podcast before and moving forward. I will never prepare for this podcast. You have my word.
Well, I think the only preparation is that you watch hockey, which I think you can do.
I do. I can do that.
He's watching a lot of hockey.
This is what Erik Drobey has to ask you about, actually, is wins aside, when you're going to be looking at the first 10 games of the season from the Sharks, what's going to signal to you where they could land in the standings by the end of the season? Like, are you looking at breakouts, special teams, just their resilience or their compete, or is it really just wins and losses, you think?
All right, so if we eliminate, well, I mean, it is about wins and losses, but sure. I want to see, are we winning by, or sorry, are we losing? Mm-hmm. It's an eye test. You can't really, like I said, I was going to say, what are we losing by? But then I would defeat what I've been talking about, where you can lose the game 4-1 and completely outplay the other team. So that would be me being contradictory to what I'm saying. So it's an eye test for me. If we're not talking about wins, I want to see how well the team is playing. Puck control. How's the power play doing? How's the penalty kill doing? How are the young guys growing and getting better, right? You want these young guys that are going to be taking over this team to be improving on a nightly basis. And I want to see effort. So if I don't see effort, I don't give a fuck who it is. Mm-hmm. You could be, record aside, the work ethic for me has to be there. So I'll say it every freaking podcast. Work ethic.
Take a shot, everybody.
Work ethic.
So you can control that every night. You can control that every night. So ideally, I want to. If they are going to lose, I would wish they were tighter games. But
Sure.
there are going to be nights where you are the better team and you are going to lose 5-2 just because.
Yeah. Can't get worse than it was a few years ago.
I did find, Dan,
Hopefully
I have one more I found. That's it. You have time for one more.
That's fine. Let's do it.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay. The question, where did I put the question? Oh, here it is. Okay. So, again, a downer, though. What happened in 2009 playoffs? And I guess the bigger question for Yuri Baranovsky is, why do you think some teams just can't get over the hump in the playoffs? But specifically 2009, what happened?
Okay, but which you're going to have to, I apologize. What happened in 2009?
The President's Trophy, the sweep, so.
Oh, that was against Anaheim?
Yeah.
The first year?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, the first year,
I thought that was 2008. So it might have been 08, 09.
Yeah. 08, 09. 08, the playoffs.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I made reference to having a hot goalie. I don't know if it was Jaguar, I believe.
I think it was Hiller, I think.
Oh, yeah. It was.
It was Hiller, yeah.
And a few things. I think their goalie was rock solid. That might have been the best team I've ever been on. I've mentioned that before.
Yep, you have. Yep.
I've won a cup. I've won multiple President's Trophy, but I think that might have been the best team. So a combination of, I think, their goalie being great, and I think he stole the series. We had guys underachieve for sure. I think that guys grew. I saw a lot more effort in the next 5 years as a Shark than I did that first year. So to me, there were still a few people that didn't. I just feel like the next level hadn't been taken. And so, again, I don't remember this clear as day, right? This is freaking forever ago. But I remember the goalie still in the series, and I remember the intensity of our locker room. I didn't think was enough. But I don't specifically remember, was our power play off that year? I remember every year there would have been something. Goaltending might have been a little off that year. Power play might have been a little off that year. Top guys weren't playing well one year. Penalty kill was bad one year. I remember there's always going to be a reason. There's always going to be an underlying reason or a dominant reason. But I can't remember anything specific other than Hillier or the goalie playing really well. And I remember their top guys were better than our top guys. And that's what I remember, because that was a very good hockey team. And might have been the best team I've ever been on. And, it was just, and Anaheim won the cup that year, I believe, right?
No, they won. That was 2006-07. They won a couple years before that. Yeah,
just a good team.
Because I know we lost. LA. We lost the cup winners a few years. Chicago, LA.
Right.
So okay. Well, whatever. I remember their goalie being
Detroit. Yeah.
But I remember their goalie.
Pittsburgh, Detroit or Pittsburgh.
Stealing this. But we got swept, right?
Right.
We got swept, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Did you see the
team in a sweep? But...
Yeah. Got to ask you though, just to close off here. Did you see the Sharks mess up the President's Trophy banner? I sent you that tweet. I don't know if you looked at it. But
I saw the tweet. What did they do? I don't think I understood the tweet. They removed, or did they put them? Did they put them all on one?
So it used to be separent division banners, right? Division title banners.
Right.
So they put all the division titles on one banner, which is the correct thing to do, in my opinion. And then they had a banner for the President's Trophy, but they got the wrong year though. They put 2015-16 instead of 2008.
Oh, okay. So they got So I remember you sending it to me, but I didn't understand.
Yeah,
so they just got the.
I didn't explain to you.
Did they bring it down? Did they fix it?
They brought it down and they fixed it for the next game, but just that they even made that mistake for the first preseason game is crazy. That they're like,
all right, fucking, what's his name? Beckerman. We'll bring Beckerman. No, not Beckerman. Becker. Jonathan Becker. Yeah, Beckerman is a TMZ guy. Be a TMZ guy. Fuck Jonathan Becker. I blame him.
He also listens. He's listening to this right.
Does he listen?
He does.
He
He's
does
on
listen.
here.
Yeah, he's been on the podcast before.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
He does.
I actually like
So
that
we're gonna
guy.
get
Hopefully-
you. We're gonna
hopefully
get
he's
you your
checked out.
$65 back, Dan.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
trying to get it done. Yeah, we got a
How
short
did
coming out.
did that story trend at all? Because that's freaking funny.
Yeah, we got a
That's
short
pretty
coming
funny.
out with
Taking
that
out the
story.
clip. Yeah, we're gonna put that out. Yeah.
But it is
I
funny.
love that one. I told them that we got to take that one out.
Did
so
you
we
guys
gotta clip
Did you
that
guys
out.
superimpose the shirt? I sent you
did.
guys a picture,
Oh yeah. No, I
and
superposed
then I had
you,
I
with
had
the beard.
I had the little video of me doing it,
Yep, you'll see
and
it
the
soon.
beer
I'll send you
spilling
to
on the
you.
white shirt.
We'll add your shirt onto it too.
Good idea.
Yeah, $65 Sharks territory shirt. Here, Mr. Boyle.
I love
Would you
that.
like a shirt? Sure.
Pecker's
iPad.
gonna send you 100
Oh.
T-shirts now. You know that, right?
I'm like, here's my Amex. Accept. All right, guys.
All right.
We'll
That's it.
see you guys next
Thanks
week.
again, Dan.
No problem.
See you next week.
And leave.
And,
Yeah.
happy hockey. All right, cool. Awesome.
Okay. So
Cool.
we have a few questions left. Like I said, we were very, very unpopular on this podcast for this mailbag. Dan got, I didn't count, but like 25 so questions. So we have a handful here. We have one for Zubair that we'll just save for a rainy day.
Yes, that sounds good.
But it's Zubair's question. And some of these are actually repeats of our. Some of you guys are going to get an additional question. Woo! Hurrah for you guys getting in 2 questions for the mailbag. But because Dan Boyle was very efficient, he answered questions like he played very efficiently, unlike us. That we are clocking at just an hour and a half, so we may as well just get through these questions really quickly here. So the very first question, let me look it up, is Stefan Schwartz. Actually, just related to Dan Boyle, so I can tell a little more about this. And Stefan asked the story and process of us 3 bringing Dan Boyle into the show, and so that's more a question for me. And for myself, I was thinking 6 months ago, and I was talking to an investor, and I was just thought that, hey, take the next step for this podcast, and what might that include? And I thought that would include potentially having a player. But one thing that people forget in these kind of processes is that you don't want just any player. You want a player that has a lot of personality. And so, and I could say this, I don't think it's any, I've told Dan this, and I asked 2 players that I thought would be kind of the right fit. Because you ask, again, most players, again, that's why people don't really watch hockey interviews. Players are cliche machines. If you get the players on like 5 beers, then then they'll be entertaining. But you're not going to get a player to drink a 6-pack before every episode of the podcast. So I only asked 2 players if they would be interested. I asked Dan and I asked Jason Demers. Obviously, I don't need to explain why I thought Jason Demers would be kick-ass on this show. We've had Jason on this podcast. You see Jason everywhere. And that's part of why I think Jason just didn't have time for it, because Jason's on NHL Network. Jason's doing a lot of stuff, right? I don't even think he's on the Sharks or he might do some games this year, but he's not on the broadcast as much this year. I think a lot of it is because he's really busy. So anyway, so Dan was interested, and I've interviewed Dan before the first iteration of the podcast with Nick Flores. Shout out to Nick. And so I knew Dan a little bit, and I think Dan knows that if I'm asking him to do this, that it's a serious thing. And I think I can say this, like, it's not any secret. Like, Dan's getting paid a little bit, but he's not getting paid, like, I can't afford a ridiculous amount. No one can, So we were joking about the $500,000. He's not making $500,000. I'm not making $500,000. So it's a nominal amount, really, but it's enough for Dan to know that, obviously, that we're serious about this, but also, too, that he's not doing it for the money, obviously. So I think I can speak for Dan here. I think that he just is interested in doing something like this. And I think we did vibe, that time that Zubair and myself and him, we all got together. I think we got along well. I think that also, if I can speak for myself, that I think Dan recognizes how seriously that I take this. And so it's not, again, he's not doing this for the money, right? He's not doing this just to be on some podcast. And so, yeah, I think it's a combination of all those factors. I know I'm speaking a little bit for Dan here, but anyway, so just reached out to him, and it was, I would say, one thing I would say about this is, and you guys heard this on a podcast, I teased this for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
I didn't even tell Keegan for a while because I wanted to make sure that it was very concrete before I really told too many people. And so that's, so it probably was a process that I pursued very seriously for we're in October. Yeah, so like I think the first time I asked Dan, hey, would you be interested in kind of just shooting a trial kind of thing, was all the way back in March. And that just was to kind of just see if he had any interest in it, and just, just see how he and I would kind of vibe. And then eventually, as just it shaped out, that it made more sense to do a 4-man booth, because then we started introducing Zubair onto the podcast more. And so that's kind of a different story of how that all developed. But basically, I just had the idea of taking the podcast to the next level and wanting a player, but wanting the right player, because you fans would know that there's probably very few players that are consistently interesting for an hour at a time. And Dan Boyle happens to be one of them, and we're lucky enough to have him on. And so, so it was kind of a long courtship. And so, to make sure that it would work, because it obviously can't be something where he's not into it, he doesn't like us, or he's not having fun at it too. And so had to make sure that would all kind of click. And so far, hopefully, I know we've had a lot of audio issues, which I apologize for. Ultimately, I need to be better about that. But I think ultimately the shows are good, and they've been fun, and they've been interesting. So
yeah, it's been a different vibe of the shows for a couple, like 5-6 episodes now. But I think that's kind of the benefit, is we're getting a little bit more content and a little bit different content. Still stuff that we do together, but it was, Dan's been awesome. And also, even when we go into the season, it's just going to be great to talk hockey with him and, look at different games and his reaction to stuff. So I think, like you said, he wants to have some people to talk hockey with and drink a few beers with, and we could do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Do that. So I'm excited that he's gonna. He seems to want to do it every week, so we're gonna have him as long as we can, probably.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something that I was going to talk with him in the future. We will talk with him in the future about. But it's the kind of thing that would have been great to ask him about last year. Specifically, one thing that jumped out to me was when Vetrano hurt Mukumadulin. And there's been different things. Like, even Mike Greer has sort of put it on Mukumadulin. Yeah. If you listen to the interviews, right? And so that's the kind of thing where a nuance from a player on, like, if he had seen that as a player, how would he react and all that sort of thing, right? Or is it on the player to some degree to brace yourself and that sort of thing, right? That's the kind of invaluable knowledge that none of Zubair, you and me, we have no idea about. And so
or
that's
like the Stenlund Celebrini thing,
right?
Like nobody reacting to that kind of thing. Like these things
right.
happen throughout the year. We've got a guy that can at least speak to his experience. So
right. So anyway, Kevin asked, and this is something I think we both can answer.
Yeah.
What are some of the best ways for us as fans to improve our understanding of the game? So I have kind of a big picture thought, but you can go first if you have ideas too.
I guess it boils down to two things. If it's like a fundamental, like, I don't understand the game in terms of like the rules or like all those things, you will get it just with watching. The way that announcers put on games nowadays, like, they're pretty good at explaining like even the subtle nuances. So just keep watching if it's that kind of level. But I think if you're already subscribed to San Jose Hockey Now and listening to this podcast, you're probably beyond that level of I don't understand hockey. You're more into like, how do I understand hockey, like, to a different degree? And it's the same thing. It's watching, but it's more focusing on specific actions by players rather than results. Don't focus on points. Don't focus on like, this guy had 2 assists tonight, so he must have done well. Focus on specific plays and what led to those points. Patterns, like, try and recognize what a player does repeatedly, that either even if the announcers are noticing it, or like you notice, like, hey, he's turning the puck over a lot here in this specific spot. Just focus on Pick a player. Pick one guy that you're interested in. It could be Misa Dickinson. It could be an older player. What do they do well, or what you think they do well? And then try and find a comparison. So try and find other scouting reports. If you think that Misa's a good skater and you think that this is something that you can put like your hang your hat on, go look at other scouting reports and see why, and then try and find out why a different scout says that they are a good skater. So do your own like viewing first, but then try and countercheck yourself and say, oh, well, I said that he kind of is always in the wrong position defensively, and that this guy, this scout that I know and I trust, and we put out some names, is saying that he's great defensively. So I think I might be missing something. Go rewatch again. It's just like, if that's the level you're looking at, that's more of a scouting exercise rather than a understanding of the game itself. There's also Jack Hahn, which you might mention too, for like tactics and stuff like that. So that's my quick answer for that.
Yeah, I think that's a really great question you have, Kevin. There's definitely a lot of different ways to answer it or different ways to go. But I would say that for myself, I thought about this as I looked at this question. And I would say the overarching thing that I think informs how I look at the game is, and actually it relates to a lot of what we're going to talk about in a little bit, but like the coaches, who wants to win a game more than you as a fan? And it's the players and the coaches, right?
Sure.
Because their living is predicated on wins and losses, and the coaches more than maybe anybody, right? And so when a coach makes what looks like on the surface to be a strange decision, like starting Ty Dellandrea as your third line center, right?
We're gonna talk about it. We
are going to talk about it, but what I want to say is I'm not defending, or I have actually a nuanced thought about it. It's not just like, leave Ryan Warsofsky alone, leave Ty Dellandrea alone, kind of. No, that's not my thought. But I would say that, when I got into writing or hockey writing, one of the things that frustrated me as a fan and I wanted to counteract is things like, one cliche is like, oh my God, like Michael Haley must have pictures of Peter DeBoer in a compromising position. That's why he's playing. Or Ty Dellandrea must have pictures of Ryan Warsofsky in compromising position. And then you see this all along, whoever's not getting played, there's some animus against this player, or who is getting played, there's some deep favoritism, right? And of course those things do exist. I'm not saying those things don't exist. Coaches like players, they dislike players, right? But the one thing I'm sure of, though, is that in almost any situation I can think of, that the coach is doing what he thinks will best win an NHL hockey game. Now, we may not understand it, but that is what Ryan Warsofsky thinks, or Peter DeBoer, or anyone, Bob Bugner, David Quinn, anybody you can think of, right? The best coach, John Tortorella, John Cooper, the worst coach, Wayne Gretzky. They're doing what they think will win an NHL hockey game. And so for me, what I like to do is not just like I said, not just defend, but try to understand why this decision was made. And that's really the best way I can explain like how to improve the understanding of the game, is to not assume that your coach is, he may be a total dunce in life, but assume that he understands hockey, even if the record isn't good. Because even when the record's not good, like David Quinn was a brilliant coach for a long time before he hit the NHL, right? And David Quinn probably didn't get worse as a coach, really. Mm-hmm. His teams didn't work out, and maybe there are some things he could have been better as an NHL coach. I acknowledge that. I'm not saying that David Quinn is faultless, but David Quinn understands more about hockey than honestly, you have forgotten that I have. Right? He's forgotten more. That's the phrase.
Yeah,
he's forgotten more than I have. I know that the worst NHL coach with experience. Not like a nepotism hire that has no career in hockey, but a guy who's paid his dues. Right? Like I'm just using Quinn as an example, but like Warsofsky, all the Bob Bugner, right? Like, so not to say that every decision is perfect from these guys, but there's reasons for it. And so that's, I think you can tell that informs a lot of like what I write and what I think about. I try to understand what these reasons are. I try to ask the coaches that's my job, to try to ask them what the reasons are. I don't think it's my job to like shout at a coach for, hey, why are you playing this guy that has a 45% Corsi instead of this guy that has a 60% Corsi? I know that I've seen other journalists do it, and I think some fans may want me to do that, but I don't see that as a job that interests me. Instead, I want to know why. I want the best I can to explain to the coaches why, or explain to you guys why the coaches are doing certain things and why I think that. And this even goes back to our least favorite argument or our favorite one, Barclay Goodrow as captain. So a lot of it is informed by if they did do such a thing, then why would they do such a thing? And so anyway, so to answer your question, Kevin, I would just say that, like, just think of that spirit of thinking, that, like, not thinking of the coach as a total moron and that you'd be a better coach of the hockey team than the coach, but actually giving the coach credit that, okay, this guy's a hockey expert. I totally disagree with him. So I don't have to agree with him at the end, but understand why Ty Dellandrea over Michael Misa. Like, there is a why that is nothing to do with anything you can think of, except that Ryan Warsawski thinks that for game one, that Ty Dellandrea might give him a better chance. Probably will give him, it's not like even a 100% thing, but will probably give him a better chance to win the game than Michael Misa, 18-year-old, playing his first NHL game against the big bad Vegas Golden Knights. So anyway.
Yeah, so I guess it kind of is a three-pronged question in terms of, for three answers to that question, in terms of what you're looking for, understanding the game, if you're looking for, like, scouting, if you're looking for just how do you read a game, or if is it more like understanding a coach's decision. That's a little bit different. And also I think the one thing that I also dislike, even though we disagree on many fourth liners and stuff like that, is that, like, people always complain that the fourth liner is the reason that the Sharks, for example, lose a hockey game, and like 99% of the time, the fourth liner, the seventh D, the backup goalie, those are just, like, they're not the reason why we're losing games. It's not the reason. They don't play enough minutes to impact the ice unless they are truly, like, every night turning the puck over, or a goaltender is on, like, a horrible stretch where he's letting in every goal. So, like, they're not the reason why. So don't over exaggerate their things. Even, like, when Goodrow or Dellandrea or whatever play bad, most of the time that's not why we lose games. We lose games because our entirety of our team is not deep enough or competitive enough yet. So it's not just because of Goodrow or Dellandrea. And we harp on guys because they are easy to single out, because they play limited minutes, and they're not as effective on the ice as guys like Sullivan.
They don't do cool shit.
But they're often not the reason why we
turns
lose.
the puck a lot too, So just for example.
I will say though, there are, like, there are favorites in the locker room. So coaches have their favorite players.
There are.
And that's how it happens. Like, they're guys that listen to them, that play the structure they want, and that they do the things and they have effort every night. Those are the guys that continually get in the lineup. So,
but you do hit the nail on the head, though, that there are reasons why they're favorites. They're not just favorites because
they have naked pictures of them.
There are reasons for actually hockey winning reasons.
Yeah.
Or sometimes there's internal locker room stuff that we don't understand too. Like, there's stuff that, like, I maybe years from now I can say, but yeah, like, players last year with the Sharks, you can guess one or two of them, but maybe they just weren't great room guys. Yeah. And that's part of it too, right? So that's not out in public. Not all of that's out in public, but that's a factor too, And so but you don't know that, and so you just assume that, oh, this guy is more talented, or this guy can skate faster than another guy, and he must be a better player. But again, it's not as simple as just that eye test too. So, but Phillips, he asked. He is not happy watching Will Smith skate. What's he got to do to start driving play more, basically, is what Phillips asked. And I'll take this one first, actually. I think this is a little unfair to Will, because I think, I think Will Smith has benefited from Mac and Cellarini starting the same year with him, and he's also has unfair comparisons because of that. And so the good thing for Will Smith is that he has less of a spotlight. And so Will Smith was the primo rookie on the Sharks last year, then we would have been asking a lot more questions of him and not of Macklin, right? And last year, Macklin got more attention, and Macklin was better last year too. On the other hand, though, the negative part is that Will Smith is a totally different player than Macklin Celebrini. And so how often do you see an 18 or 19-year-old drive play the way you're talking about here? Very, 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 very unusual. This is not a normal thing to be asking of an 18, 19, now 20-year-old player to be kind of dragging the team along as you're expecting Will Smith to do. So for me, at least, I think this is unfair because I watch Will, and sure, he can be quicker. He still needs to get stronger, but I also see, a near offensive genius at times who can execute some really incredible plays that 100%. Actually plays that even Macklin I don't think can make. And so he's got to get better in other areas, but he is also I think he just turned 20, and his rookie season, he had 45 points, good rookie season just on the counting stats. Clearly got better from day one to the end of the season, no question about that too, and showed high-end flashes of talent. Is he Will Smith, consistent Will Smith that is going to lead the Sharks to the playoffs this coming season? No, probably not. But he needs to get better, and that's what we're looking for. We're not asking him to start driving play, and maybe that's not even his game too, right? He may be more of a in the weeds, that crazy pass. Yep. So that can also be, sometimes you need to just pair the guy with the right kind of player too, and that again is not on Will Smith. He's good at certain things. You have to identify what he's good at. You have to accentuate those things and not expect him to drive play not just like Macklin, but any other phenom, Matvey Michkov, or any other kind of phenomenal young offensive player. Just different style of game too.
I don't think. I also don't know if I wouldn't say that he's been pulling a sled out there every shift, which was part of RPhillips' statements. I don't think he's been.
That's a
little.
You're
talking specifically. You're talking specifically on
speed.
speed. I don't think he's been slower or anything than he was last year.
I think he's faster. But,
I think he's faster. Yeah, I was gonna say. I don't think it's particularly a change in speed. Preseason's preseason, so he had one really good pass in the power play that I remember. So I don't know. I think Will Smith is what he is. Like you said, he's offensive mind, vision, gonna do great on the power play. He's gonna need to take a few years to really get effective on 5-on-5 versus bigger, stronger kind of competition. But he's still gonna, be very productive on the power play. So give him time. It's a great combo there. And also he's technically playing a not new position, but kind of a new position. Right? He's playing wing.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
So we'll need some adjustment time. He played a lot last year, but he's not playing center. So it's a different place.
And also, Will may top out as a just okay defensive player and a great offensive player, and you're more than happy with that. You can win with that. Right, so so he may never be a two-way maestro, but that's okay. Yeah,
and it's we're gonna have some rough times coming this year, but it'll be better than last year. That's all I keep telling myself.
Yeah, hopefully.
I think we're predicted not predicted, but most of the betting markets predictions, all those things have us 10, 15 points better. So
that's true. That's Stathletes. We did that last week. The projections they had the Sharks at 71 points. Second to last in NHL, but 14 more than the Blackhawks, so they really don't like for some reason. So
also 19 points better than last year. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. So I don't know. That is true. I mean, I know I predicted that in the show I did with Alan Hoshida, but honestly, that was a boiler gun to the head question. So I panicked.
Well, I still have to somehow.
I'm not sure if I believe it.
The Sharks still have to be 500 by Christmas. That was my prediction last year, so I think it was that they would be 500. We'll see how that works.
So Chris Robinson, this is a question for us that we can't really answer, but I did want to mention it though, that Chris asked, can you do a segment on the show to talk about hockey systems, educational for the listeners? I think though, I'll be honest, Chris, that this is not something that's great on a podcast where podcast is entertainment's a part of it. But though, I do always try to do articles every year. Sometimes last year I missed out, but typically if you look at articles from the past or the history of San Jose hockey now, that I try to do systems articles with a Jack Hahn with somebody about I did a story years ago about the change from Bob Bugner to David Quinn. I've done system stories about power plays, that sort of thing, right? And like I mentioned last week, that I don't know if you heard this, Keegan, that I'm bringing on Jack Hahn as a consultant Yeah, so for San Jose Hockey Now. So there's going to be more of it this year. And so that's going to be there. I don't know if I quite see it perfect for podcasts, unless Dan Boyle has something to add to it or something. But anyway, so we'll have more stuff on the website for this year.
Love it. Yeah, he's got excellent detail on tactics and systems, and you just learn a lot of from osmosis from listening to him. So, all right. Do you want me to get this one?
Oh, let me do this one because it's a very long one. So let's see if I can. This is from Ted Peterson. And basically, so he's just talking about Cardwell and Cagnoni. Maybe they're ready, but they're not going to get a shot because it's a more veteran kind of group, which is what happened. But the basic question, though, is there a year that you see for the Sharks coming that they have a training camp with more spots up for grabs? I think that's the gist of the question here. And for younger players, I know for a lot of fans, it was frustrating to see Cardwell do what he did at the end there, and then even Cagnoni come on at the end there and get lose or not start the season with the Sharks. So so Keegan, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this.
I think Greer wanted to come into this season more competitive, and I think obviously a trade deadline, there probably will be some guys leaving, but this is also the time to see if guys like Kurashev, Wenberg, even guys like Dellandrea or Orlov, all these guys are going to be a part of the future of the team, or is this kind of a rental situation? So, I think it's kind of. I don't know. I still don't think it's entirely set in stone that Cardwell and Cags are ready yet. There are still things that they can learn. So, whereas sometimes you argue that a guy is overcooked and like you have to see what you have to see. Like I think Gushchin last year is the example where I think he wasn't overcooked in the AHL, but like he was like he had done what I think he needed to do to prove it. And Cags has done a lot, but he needs another year of strengthening. He needs another year of just reps of defensive work. And then Cardwell, I think he's going to get a shot. It's just a matter of time. He's got the plug and play model of a bottom six forward. So I think thing with Cardwell too is that we really like his intensity sometimes, but also there are games where he does disappear. So you can't have that kind of inconsistency to be in a lineup consistently, to say the least. So I think there was reasons for it. I was more mad last year than I am this year, and probably the year before that. I don't think it's going to hand the team over to the youth. I really don't. I think that Greer's going to keep adding pieces. So I don't think you're going to be like, oh, we're going to move aside everybody so that Cagnoni finally has a slot. I think he's going to keep adding until Cagnoni proves that he's in the NHL, Cardwell proves it, Musty proves it, Chernyshov proves it. I don't think he's going to just wipe it all clean and go, yep, we're going to put him in. I don't think that's how it's going to happen. I think he wants to improve the team every year rather than just like tear it again,
Yeah, I basically agree with what you're saying there. That I think you're saying, and this is what I think too, that as the team gets better, there's actually going to be even less jobs. And the Sharks are actually going to lose young players that actually become something elsewhere. That hasn't happened yet, really, because the Sharks prospects ultimately have not been that great when they hit 21, 22. And that's going to change now because they are picking higher, arguably picking better, right? It appears maybe, we don't know yet, but it looks like they're picking better. So anyway, as that happens, there's going to be even less spots for Cardwell and Cagnoni. And I think that the bar should be that Cardwell needs to absolutely take a job. And Cardwell had a couple of good games there, but I don't feel like Cardwell took a job necessarily. Cagnoni, same kind of thing. And so I am not... who took a job? Actually, this is actually great for a roster discussion, but Colin Graff, right? Colin fucking Graff. Like,
look at this Colin Graff.
Exactly. Look at this, right? And Colin Graff did it not just with a couple of nice preseason games, right? Mm-hmm. He did it with a whole half season last year where he was playing good hockey, maybe not scoring as many points as you want, but he was being trusted by the coaching staff. Again, you look at the reasons why is called. So instead of bitching about Gaudreau or Ryan Reeves being here, what did Colin Graff do to impress the coaching staff? And how can a Cardwell, Cagnoni, replicate that. And two things that stand out that Colin did over the course of a Barracuda season where he first showed it was consistency and reliability, being somebody that they could trust, like in a defensive situation. Like if they are not put in an optimal offensive situation, that they respond in a positive or neutral way. More times than not. Obviously, you're always going to make mistakes. And so these are the kind of things that like I would suggest that is focused on more. Like, what did the Colin Graf do to stay here, as opposed to why isn't Ethan Cardwell here? So, and because if you look really hard at those two players, just for example, I'm not trying to pick on Ethan here because he had a very good camp, but like there are clear differences between what Graf has the body of work in the NHL that Graf has put together. And Cardwell got an NHL shot last year, just like Graf. And Ethan wasn't as consistent. I would imagine if you asked him, he'd be pretty honest about it too, that his impact was not as consistent and reliable as Graf's was. And that's why Graf is here. So anyway, but the big picture question, Ted, that you're asking is that there's going to be even less jobs in the future. And that's what you want. You want like veterans so good that like, oh man, like we have this guy like, let's use in the future. Let's use this perfect example. Man, we have this Askarov kid. Like he is everything that we dreamt he is. He is Igor Shesterkin. Like he's the new Igor Shesterkin or whoever you name, right? We have this excellent prospect in Ravensburg, but we just don't have space.
Yeah.
That's a good problem to have. And so then you trade Ravensburg away, probably. I mean, I guess you can trade Askarov away too, but it's a good problem to have. And you make your team better that way. If you make the right trade, at least, you make your team better. And so that's the same thing you actually want. I know everyone falls in love with the young prospects, but you want somebody blocking their way that is so good. And I understand right now the Sharks don't have that, so that's why it's frustrating that they might lose two players that aren't as clearly better, like a Dellandrea or a Gaudreau or et cetera, than Ethan Cardwell. So I understand why that's frustrating, but like the ideal picture for a good team, though, is that you have veterans so good that either the young player is even better, and so you can replace the veteran with a cost-effective, somehow better younger player, or you use that young prospect as a trade asset. And that's, so basically, again, Ted, the big picture is you're going to have less jobs. That's ideally what the Sharks want. So you don't want to hand jobs to people. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that they do or they don't. Like guys like Misa, Dickinson, Smith, Celebrini, they believe in the talent so much that they are being, handed's not the right word, but they're being, because of situations, put in areas where like they have to play there. Misa has to play the NHL pretty much. Like he could play the OHL, but it seems wrong.
Right.
So like that's what I mean. It's like Cagnoni and Cardwell, A, they're waiver exempt, and B, they could still learn things, I think, in the AHL. Cardwell still needs to be more consistent in his effort. I mean, like when you see the effort from Cardwell, everybody notices it, right? You're like, this guy, he's on it, but it's not like that's not every game. The next game from Cardwell, I watched him, wasn't that impactful at all, and like that's the problem. Is it's got to be consistent, and you have to like really force it. Like to be honest, I don't think the Sharks wanted Gushin on the roster last year. I don't think they penciled him in, but he put up the most preseason points in the NHL.
He put in too many. Yeah, I think he put in 2 games.
They were like, fuck it, I guess we have to. Like, so that's the thing is they didn't have to with Cardwell this year. He had a great game, and he's had a good camp, and he'll get his chance. Like he really does have a great shot later on in the season to make it once guys get injured, and there isn't. We've already sent out Grundstrom now. Gaudreau, Dellandrea, Reeves. These guys could sit at different points in the year, for play or for age or injury, whatever. So Cardwell is one of the first call-ups, I think, if he keeps the momentum up. So, and look at this Colin Graf. He's the example of making the team. So
there is a spot if you take it and you're not. And Keegan, you make a great point about sort of the pedigree of, fair or not, the pedigree of Misa, Dickinson, Smith, a Celebrini. Well, Celebrini just knocks it off because he's
it doesn't matter.
good no matter what. But nonetheless, so yeah, the pedigree does matter. The situation, right, where like Cardwell and Cagnoni are still, no one would argue that they are still being served well developing with the Barracuda. Right. Whereas, the argument for Dickinson, Misa, are they? I don't know. Maybe they can still develop in the OHL, but there's an argument at least that there's no point. You know, that's what some people say. So, okay. I like this question from Falco, but this one's hard to answer. But Falco 5. How much do games, this actually, I wasn't sure if this was for Dan. This is probably something to actually ask a coach, actually. But how much do games determine roster lineup decisions, preseason games? How much of it is scrimmages? How much of it is practice? And Falco 5 mentions that as a fan, I can only watch games, so I'm curious how important those are. And I'll answer it first that I always watch games and scrimmages the most. I think practices are actually very important, but I haven't determined yet how to watch that in a way. It's hard for me to kind of measure, like, the one-on-one, the physical, like how hard are they going, that sort of thing in practice. And where it's sort of it's a very deliberate situation they're putting in practice, like these little drills, these little corner battles. I haven't figured out how to watch practice really well yet. I've been meaning to like ask a scout or something, just sit down with somebody and really watch it one day and learn. So for me, I watch more games than scrimmages because I have a good sense in a game situation what I'm looking for. But I think practices are very, very important. And we're going to talk about Ty Dellandrea in a little bit, but that's one thing that Ryan Warsofsky mentioned, that practices, the games, especially after that Anaheim game, that I really liked him, right, in Anaheim. And scrimmages too, that whole package is why Ty Dellandrea has earned his spot. And I believe that. I believe that it is everything. Yeah, but I just can't answer right now how well I watch it. But yeah, I think it's everything.
Yeah, and I'll be the first to admit that I thought that Dellandrea's beginning of the camp was worse than the end of the camp in terms of the effort, and like seeing the games where he turned it on, it's like it seemed like he fit in the lineup. Not to get into the discussion just yet, but that's the thing, is carries over. So from scrimmages to the games. And I remember watching, I don't remember who streamed it. It might have been you or Curtis or somebody last year was streaming like a scrimmage from early in camp, and you could even tell then that Musty was like lagging even on those like early scrimmages. And that's when you kind of knew, like the intensity level and the difficulty level of training camp just gets like ramped up every week.
Right.
And it's just when eventually you hit a point where you can't compete anymore. So that's what it kind of feels like happens every year. Yeah. So I mean, I imagine that like if a guy is super cold in games, that they're gonna be a little bit, unless there's like a clear reason why they're on the roster. Like, you know, Toffoli doesn't put up a point in preseason, no one gives a shit. So nobody cares. He's gonna be on the team. But or even like guy like Askarov, who did not statistically and you know in most games did not have a great preseason.
Right.
He's still gonna be getting a lot of starts this year. So that's just the plan and the way that they have to run the season based on what they've done so far. So can't be all good or all bad based on just performances in preseason.
So the last question we have is from Gary, again showing how deeply unpopular we are now, because you and I used to fill 50 questions from, but now we get 6 because of motherfucking Dan Boyle. So.
I think the viewers probably are like, I have to get a question for Boiler, and not Keegan and Sheng. They're here all the time. We can ask them whatever. You know?
Exactly, yeah. But Gary asked, and actually this one was actually for the group, which includes Zubair and Dan.
Well, just you and I then.
But we also just answer it though, because we like Quentin Tarantino too. We like movies too, guys. All right.
We do. Yeah.
What is your favorite Tarantino movie? Yeah, exactly. Not Human Centipede. So.
I mean, it's just Pulp Fiction. That's it.
Yeah. I guess maybe that's why it's maybe it's more spirited. Yeah, I'm Pulp Fiction. We agree too much, actually. Yeah. People make too
Inglourious
much of our
Basterds.
disagreements.
It's an excellent movie. The Inglourious Basterds is an awesome movie too. Kill Bill, like Gary mentioned, is a great franchise. Yeah. But I could rewatch Pulp Fiction on a Saturday and be happy. Like it's such a good movie, no matter what. Like I have to be in the mood to watch Kill Bill or Inglourious Basterds or whatever. Django Unchained is good, but
I didn't really like Hateful Eight though. That one kind of dragged and didn't really come together for me. But that's the one from his filmography that I am the least interested in.
I remember seeing commercials for it, but I don't think I ever saw it. Yeah, I didn't see this.
Okay. All right, so we are done with the mailbag portion, which is actually, I think, a record for us. 2 hours, 10 minutes, about 2 hours, yeah. So I think it is good. Maybe we give too much lead time for questions in the past in terms of asking questions. Giving everybody 3 days to get questions into Dan probably is a good thing, because if we give it like a week, then yeah, maybe we get double the questions. But let's close off though. We're going to talk just about some of the news. There is really big news with the Sharks, obviously. So the first big piece of news is obviously the Sharks opening night roster has been revealed, and I'll just quickly run over it very quickly. And we're also going to talk about the lines today that I saw at practice. So the first 23-man roster practice that the Sharks have had, 23-man roster practice the Sharks have had before their game. Today is Tuesday, so their game is Thursday against the Golden Knights. But anyway, so the roster very quickly, just to rattle it off, is I'm gonna pull that off of my website really fast. So okay, sure. 13 forwards: Celebrini, Dellandrea, Eklund, Gaudette, Gaudreau, Graf, Kurashev, Misa, Reeves, Skinner, Smith, Toffoli, and Wenberg. The defensemen are Desharnais, Dickinson, Ferraro, Klingberg, Leddy, Liljegren, Mukhamadullin, and Orlov. And goaltenders, Eskarov and Nedeljkovic. And injured, starting the season on IR, Fanaseyev, Carlson, and Jack Thompson. So that's the opening night roster. So do you have any initial impressions of that?
We were kind of right. Like it was all pretty much exactly what we were.
We were right.
We were right. I mean, we thought that Jack Thompson would get waived, but he's just on IR. So
same, but he's not on the team. And you know what? I have checked around. People, scouts have not liked his preseason, to be honest, his games. So I don't think he wasn't making this team even when he was healthy. I can say that with almost 100% confidence that if the people I talk to, if their views of the player are accurate, that he wasn't. Cagnoni, I think, was closer to making the team than Thompson, to be honest. So so it's not because IR. Afanasyev is a different case. Afanasyev had a better camp, so he was closer, I think. But anyway.
Yeah, and I wonder if this Thompson thing, when he does get healthy, and then if they decide to waive him, they might waive somebody else. I don't know, or put somebody else on IR. Who knows? But if it's something like where Tampa would be like, oh, maybe we'll pick him up. You never know. Like they with Damon Hunt.
Maybe.
Because Damon Hunt got sent to Columbus and then got waived, and Minnesota picked him back up. After he got in the Yurichek trade. So maybe if a team like Tampa is like, oh, we actually kind of liked that guy, he might get a shot there too. But or if it's because they have to waive him later in the season, guys have gotten some looks in the NHL, and some coaches and GMs are like, this guy is not hacking it. Maybe they wanted to give it a shot to Thompson. Who knows? Yeah,
and I'm still with what you and I agreed on, that I thought it was 30-70 that they put him through. Like, I asked before we started finding out that, Afanasyev, Thompson is on IR, I asked a few scouts who is the most claimable of Grundstrom, of Afanasyev, of Thompson, of Regenda. And no one said Regenda because, again, where was Regenda last year? And again, I really like Pablo's game. I like what he did for the Barracuda. But if we look at an honest perspective, that matters. Like having a couple good games or a good camp at, I think he's 25, that doesn't win you an NHL job necessarily. So
it did it for him a few years ago, right? But it didn't this year. It won him that job a few years ago with Anaheim.
I'm not really sure his history, did it? I'm not actually aware of his history.
He started off like a it's kind of a joke at this point, not joke, but like a meme of like an early Calder favorite because he started off super hot one season with Anaheim and then eventually got sent down. Because the same thing happened. He played like bad out of hell in preseason, earned a job, and then so it's tough. It's that consistency element. There's nothing that like Pavel Regenda does super super well to be like we had to put him in the lineup every night. So I don't know.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like a fourth line, he's useful, but a lot of times though, and this is what I wrote in my story about Jack Thompson, that is he going to take your guy's job at number 7, number 6 defenseman? Unless your guy is hurt, maybe not. Probably not, actually. And so then are you going to spend a waiver claim on him? I mean, if you're banged up, you might, but you're not necessarily going to do it just because of the player. It's not like if you put I'm just a stupid example, but you put like William Eklund on waivers. He's going to get picked up like that. Macklin Selbies are so good, right? It's so obvious you must have this guy. You're stupid if you don't pick him up. So Thompson is not in any kind of sense of that. He's not that right now at least, he's not a bottom pairing defenseman on a bad team, on a playoff team, or any of that. So he is a depth guy. He's a good depth guy. I don't want to take that away from him, but he needs to take that next step, which I don't think he did during camp. So yeah, so this whole roster doesn't really surprise me. So anyway, I was saying though, I asked the scouts who they thought was the most claimable. Thompson, Afanasyev, there were maybes. Even Grundstrom got a vote because Grundstrom, even though Grundstrom hasn't done much with the Sharks, he does have a track record. Of all these guys, Carl Grundstrom has actually the most track record of playoff caliber hockey with the actual playoff team, even if it's on a fourth line role. So and he's just 27 too. He's not old by any stretch. So yeah, but none of them had like really strong cases, right? And so anyway, you and I predicted that Grundstrom would be on waivers. He was traded, but he actually was put on waivers right after the trade by the Flyers. So I think we did see it right, and we had Graf both on the team, so it's not like we just went with the easiest guys too. So yeah, I would say pat on the back for both of us. So.
Yeah, I think this was one of the few where you could kind of not see it coming a mile away, but it seemed like this was the case. I think the most interesting things were like Dellandrea versus Grundstrom. I think Cagnoni had a chance, but it was just with Dickinson being there, unlikely.
Right. And him being waiver exempt.
Yeah. And then Cardwell obviously coming on late and putting up and Brigenda too in that game, just looking great. And yes, Brigenda had 5 points in 4 games in the 2023 preseason, which caused him to be in the into the NHL, and then played 14 games with the Ducks before being sent down. And
yeah, I don't want to take that away, like what Pavel did, and he could prove us wrong. Very well, that happens too, right? But again, when he's put on waivers, the league tells us. And so if the scouts who watched the preseason games, they were like, oh my God, you got to pick this guy up. Like, I don't know what happened over the summer, but he's a totally different player than he was the past few years. You got to pick this guy up. Someone would have picked him up. But the Sharks calculate that it wasn't going to happen, and that's one of the reasons why they did put him to waivers instead of putting him on the team. And what happened was predictable. So.
Yes, and so... Do we talk about lines?
Yes, let's talk about lines. So today at practice, it was interesting because there are 2 sets of lines that went. So I'm going to read you all the lines. I'm going to tell you sort of my thoughts of what the most likely lines are. But none of them include Michael Misa as a primary center, though. So I'm warning you guys. But okay, so the first lines that went were Eklund, Celebrini, Smith as your first line. Toffoli, Wenberg, and Skinner as your second line. Kurashev, Dellandrea as your center. Graft on the third line. And Gaudreau, Gaudette, and Reeves. I'm going to go with the forwards because the defense were actually very consistent. So, we'll read off all the defense, but they stay the same. So through the both kind of forward kind of sort of attempts at lines. So the defense were Leddy and Klingberg, Ferraro and Lojegren, Orlov and Mukmadulin, and Desharnais and Dickinson. Okay, so the second group of forwards I saw were Kurashev, Celebrini, and Smith, Eklund, Wenberg, and Toffoli, Skinner, Dellandrea, and Graf, and Gaudreau, Gaudette, and Reeves. So before we get to the Dellandrea part, I think the lines that I actually believe are the most accurate were actually the second group. And the reason why I think this is because actually the most surprising thing besides seeing Dellandrea as your clear 3C was seeing Toffoli and Skinner on the same line. Because I don't think that doesn't make quite a lot of sense in terms of just different styles. I feel like they're very similar. I could be wrong. So they might try that. But to me, the most sensible line in terms of balancing the lines out were Kurashev with Celebrini and Smith, and not super loading with Eklund, Celebrini, and Smith. Eklund, Wenberg, and Toffoli. So you're not heavy loading with the shot first for wingers in Toffoli and Skinner, and Skinner with Dellandrea and Graf to give a little offensive punch to the third line. So that's my one note I have. Second important note I would say is that what you look for in these things is repetition, obviously, right? So Celebrini and Smith are playing together start the season almost certainly. Warsofsky has already confirmed it, but you can guess by the fact that in both of these iterations they're together. So you can guess that Gaudreau, Gaudette, and Reeves are together because, of course, Ryan Warsofsky praised them to the moon after the last game, but also, too, that they have also stayed together the entire camp. So that's a likelihood here, too. Another clear consistency is, let's get to Ty Dellandrea, that he looks like he's going to start the season at 3C. And I've been talking for a while, so before I get to sort of my thought about it, what do you think of Ty Dellandrea at 3C? Start hot there, or just any of these lines that you've looked at?
Well, first of all, Gaudreau, Gaudette, Reeves look good. I will say that. I think Gaudette is a really good addition to the fourth line there, where even guys like Sturm, so like he doesn't push offensively enough. Gaudette has some, like, at least a little bit more offensive chops, and I really like
19 goals last year. Yeah,
exactly. So I really like his addition to that lineup of Gaudreau. I don't know if Reeves is going to be an every night player or just like a heavy night player. That's a good way to put it.
Right.
But he comes out with what he's supposed to: physicality, fighting. He's going to do that. So I like that line. I think for a noted Gaudreau basher, I like it. I think it's going to work out well, hopefully, for a while. I think that part of the reason why Gaudreau didn't succeed last year is because he ended up playing up. Like, he's playing second, third line minutes. He's playing way too high in the lineup for a guy like that. So maybe this is the solution: is get a solid fourth line, stick with it, because it looks like a good line. So we'll see how they fare. That's my first thought. Yeah. Second is, there's a lot of, I do wonder what, I think they're giving Dellandrea like the, how do you say it? Like the audition, right? Like it's, we are looking for a 3C. Or we have options for 3C like Misa, or push Wenberg down on 2, Kurashev, Celebrini, like it got dead even. So we have options. So we're giving you the audition here with some good players. Skinner and Graf are good NHL players. Well, Graf is a rookie, but not a rookie, but a younger guy.
No, so, I know. Yeah, I know where you're coming from.
Yeah. So I think it's an interesting thing. I don't know if it's like a long-term thing. I think it's nothing to freak out about. That's also what Boyle was saying too. It's game one. They want to see what this guy can do at this level in the lineup, because from last year he wasn't 3C worthy. I'd say that. Right. I think he was more of a fourth line, 13th forward guy. So yeah, we'll see. I think it doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. Misa's never getting in this lineup. Oh my God! It's just they want to see what he can do here after clearly a kick in the pants, right? Like somebody told him, you need to play better, and then he did. So give him a shot. He's only got him on this year as a contract.
I mean, again, it's not likely to work out. There's no told you so, but I mean, Dellandrea is 25. He hasn't quite clicked as a third line or up forward yet. It usually doesn't happen after a few years in the league, even though Ty was a first round pick a long time ago. It just normally it doesn't happen, right? But though, I think it shows a couple of things. That first, the Sharks do have something of, I guess, a third line center problem insofar as they don't know how to fill it. They do like Gaudette at 4. I think they really would like to keep him there because he becomes like a luxury there. He's like he's too good for it in a way.
Yeah, it's a great
He can move
line.
up to 3C, but then he may not. Then he's just like an average or below average 3C maybe. But at 4C he might be. I mean, I don't know. I gotta look at all the fourth line centers in the league, but I'm sure there's not very many fourth line centers that scored 15 goals last year and like averaging 10 minutes a night. So, you know, you don't count for shooting percentage or whatever, but like that's something that's a good thing for 4C. So then you have clearly Celebrini is your 1C. Clearly Wenberg is your 2 or 3C. So Wenberg is your 2C now. Who is your 3C, right? And so Michael Misa did not necessarily get like a lot, like sort of his gameplay. I'm sure he got better in subtle areas, but in terms of like game-to-game impact, he didn't get better. As the competition got harder, he didn't necessarily get better. I'm not saying that, that means, well, again, anything bad. That's normal. He's 18, right? But what I'm trying to say is that he did not grab that 3C job. It was there for him to take. He did not. That's not. If you see it that way, that's fine. But I don't think the coaching staff thought that, or he would have the 3C job. So let's put it that way. And I actually asked Warsawski. I phrased it, and it's a leading question. But I asked Warsawski, like, do you think that Dellandrea like took the job? He grabbed it. I didn't say Michael Misa, or I didn't say over Misa. I just said, did Dellandrea take the job in your eyes? And Warsawski said that, yeah, he did. And this is the quote from, I have a story coming out about it later, but basically Warsawski said, early in the camp, we didn't know who could jump in that spot.
Yeah. But
Delly, through the games he played, through practice part, has been on a mission, so he's earned it. And specifically, that game at Anaheim, at Warsawski raved, said that Dellandrea was the best player on the ice for the Sharks. And even since then, you know, the Vegas game that they won, Dellandrea was centering the second line, even though they didn't score any points. But still, Dellandrea was the second most used forward, I think, in that game, in the Vegas win. I think it was a 3-1, 4-1 win, right? So anyway, so I think that they're giving Dellandrea the shot because he was the best of the groups of the I guess the guys who were closest to the job, which are Kurashev and Misa. Maybe the question of Kurashev and Dellandrea is also what they're looking for a 3C, right? Kurashev is more offense, finesse, that kind of thing, right? And so maybe they like that more on the wing, so that could be a part of it too, right? But what I would say is that without Michael Misa grabbing that job, that left that open. And that if I were to say, not accounting for ages or anything, who had a better camp just as hockey players, Ty Dellandrea or Michael Misa, it was Ty Dellandrea. I mean, yeah, I don't really know how that's debatable. And if you're not debating that, you're saying, we should just give it to the guy because, Will Smith got it last year. Well, it's a different year this year, right? And also, too, because I've seen that argument, Will Smith was played last year, even though Will Smith was not so ready either. And yeah, that's true, but it was a different team last year, right? And a second part of it is, and you mentioned it, Michael Misa is going to play games. They have 9 games to work with him here and see if he can take that job from a Ty Dellandrea or not. And it's not a condemnation on his career either way, whatever happens in this stretch. And it's fine. Like it's a surprising move, I would say, for sure. But I can see that part of it that Misa did not seize that job.
Yeah. And Misa's a year younger than Smith was last year too. So that's
that's a fair consideration too. Yep.
Like they're different players and different situations. Smith could go to the NCAA, whereas Misa couldn't. Or he could have, but didn't.
Didn't.
But so it's different, and you don't want to.
Oh, the leverage, the NCAA leverage thing though is probably part of it too. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't. If we lose against Vegas, it's probably not from Ty Dellandrea playing 3C. I will say that. It's probably again. it's we're gonna lose some games this year. This is a better team, I think, but it's still not the team that's gonna win us a ton of hockey games. Misa's gonna get his shot, and I don't think that Reeves is an every night player. I think he's a player that's gonna play more than he did last year for Toronto, but still at his age and the way that he plays the game, he's comfortable with sitting, I'm sure. So, yeah, I think Misa's going to get shots there. He's going to get shots when guys just aren't having good
Right,
games.
maybe Dellandrea will slide down there and then Misa moves up. Certainly, yeah. So that's possible.
Maybe he moves up, or they put
to Dellandrea's spot
down.
at 3C. Sure.
So there's options. Don't worry about it. I'm just maybe a little bummed more than anything, but I'm not worried. I did think there was a lot of good things from Misa, but like you said, it wasn't like it was like he dominated or like took over, or it was like very clear like Celebrini coming in at his 18-year-old year where he's ready.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that at all. He had subtle things that like, yeah, this guy, I think he could stick around in the NHL if you gave him good minutes and you gave him good line mates. I think he could do it. So they're just trying to figure out how to make that happen, I think, for him, and then see what the season comes for him. But
I still think so. But I asked a scout a couple days ago about Misa versus Dickinson. He actually said he thought that Misa's not ready, as from what he's seen, and Dickinson is. So that's kind of a different opinion than I've had, because I've always been a little higher on Misa just in terms of his intelligence. So I'm still going to stick, even though a scout tells me differently, that I think Misa, given time, will be fine.
Sorry.
But, good.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also like...
I'm just saying. Yeah, go ahead.
Like we said before, it's more... it's harder to shelter a defenseman than it is to shelter a Misa. So...
Right.
Yes, I think Dickinson looked a little bit probably better, more ready in certain times. Sometimes he didn't. But it's harder to shelter a defenseman because, like, again, sometimes it's on them when you get scored on, and it's less likely that a guy like Misa is going to be the reason why you're getting scored on. So, yeah, I think it's I don't know. There's been ups and downs for both of them, but I was more surprised that Dickinson didn't get in the lineup than Misa. So I guess I agree with that statement because I really thought that Dickinson would get into the lineup there, but it's also hard to be like you're going to scratch
that one's
any of the
hard to
six that are
tell.
above
Yeah.
them, so.
Right. I mean, in terms of like, sort of, like if you want to give the veterans like, hey, they've done it before, they've done it for years, let's give them like the first crack. Like Leddy, Klingberg, Orlov, even Ferraro are like very like long established, especially the three, Leddy, Klingberg, Orlov, very decorated defensemen, right? Yeah, like I'm not sure who you would scratch. I guess you can say Dickinson for Liljegren, but that's not that clear cut.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna say that Dickinson was better in camp than Liljegren. I thought Liljegren was actually decent, and Liljegren is obviously just more experienced and stronger, and all that business. Just being a guy that's 8 years older than Dickinson. So, yeah, I guess I don't think of it like you. I don't think of this as being like a big deal. Like I get why Dellandrea is there. No, I don't think it'll last because just track record. It's not that hard to figure out that Ty Dellandrea is 25 and it hasn't quite happened in a higher role for him yet. So is it going to happen this time at center? Probably not. If you're just being a betting person, but if he has had the better camp, let him try and let's see what happens, right? And so. Yeah. As for the Dickinson question, yeah, I mean, this one is interesting because there just feels like there's not as much space. The forward lines, there was a clear spot at 3C. Yeah. And on defense though, it's not quite clear. Like if you, like you mentioned, if you take somebody out, like where do you put Dickinson in? He's not on the power play. Because Klingberg is here for PP1 and Orlov has PP2 right now until they show that they can't handle it anymore. So
yeah, so it would be one of like Leddy, Liljegren, or Muka Madulin, and I think what'll end up happening is, like maybe Liljegren will sit some games. Muka Madulin when he's not because he's not going to be as consistent every night. Maybe they'll sit him some games, and then Leddy with his age. and everything, maybe they also sit him some games. So I think it's just going to be a rotating of those three guys kind of sitting for Dickinson, and then Desharnais for like.
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry,
Yeah.
I got the hand in as Dickinson's hand. I had a typo there. I put Dickinson on the right side, but he's on the left side.
Yeah,
but
but it is tough because like Liljegren is one of the few righties. You got Desharnais, Klingberg, Liljegren, and then everybody else is lefties. So
is lefty, yeah.
It's a good problem to have. But you do want to see Dickinson get games because more than anything, that's why he's not in the OHL, is because you think he needs the NHL experience.
Right. But I think the secret benefit is that you get to slow play their 9 games too, which I've said before. I think that's the most sensible plan anyway, to kind of slow play those 9 games and send them to the AHL for conditioning and get them to World Juniors and then decide if you really want to keep them or not for the season.
Yeah, they might do that for both of them, right? Like,
I think so. It seems like it. Yeah.
It's an interesting play. I'm sure Team Canada would be happy because Team Canada's got like a bunch of dudes that just made the NHL roster. Schaefer is not going. When people thought he might be going to World Juniors, he's not. So the defense for Team Canada is looking real rough. That coming up. So we'll see. I don't know. Or Dickinson just grabs the job because there was times when you're like, that's the reason why we want you in the NHL. So.
Yeah, he did have moments for sure. Like, I think Misa, I actually did a story I put out earlier today about Michael Misa and talking with him, and Ryan Rosowski wants him to think less, that he's thinking too much about making mistakes. And that is what I thought about Misa, in the sense of like, he wasn't as dynamic, but I felt like he was trying to fit in. And he was positionally sound, like Rosowski said, but he didn't have those moments that like kind of get you out of your seat a little bit that Dickinson had to some degree. And it's a delicate balance. You can't have too many of those kind of like dangerous kind of plays because you hurt your team too much. But you got to do it a couple times though, I guess, to really like, okay. Yeah.
Good question. Did the Orlov Mukhamadullin pairing, was that the side? Did they put Orlov back at left and Mukhamadullin back at right?
Yeah, they switched that left to right.
I like that.
Mukhamadullin. Yeah, Mukhamadullin played well there last year, and then Orlov's dealing with some upper body issue. He didn't specify what, so that could be a part of it too. Or maybe they just saw in camp that because Orlov didn't have that great game against it was the home game against So maybe they just saw, hey, that's going to work to have like the younger legs and the longer reach in Mukhamadullin on the right side. So,
and we've seen him do well on the right side. So.
Yep.
Like in the past. So I think that's a really cool pairing if they keep it like that. And Orlov can play right side too, but I like that pairing. Hopefully they I really wonder what the time on ice is going to be like. Like obviously Klingberg and Orlov are going to get skewed because of power play and everything, but I do wonder what the even strength balance is going to be like.
Yeah, I mean there's an argument that maybe they'll be pretty balanced because Orlov isn't 2018 Orlov, neither is Nick Leddy 2018 Nick Leddy. So like, but they're still competent, and so Ferraro is younger, but Ferraro isn't a number 1, number 2 defenseman necessarily. But maybe it'll be pretty close. All these 3 pairings.
It kind of feels like we have 3. This is going to sound harsh, but 3 line 2.5s, like 3 like line between 2 and 3 in terms of quality. That's what it seems like.
Oh, you mean the pairings or the lines?
Yeah. Yeah. Like it seems like, like the pairings. I mean, it seems like we have 3 line 2.5s.
Yeah. I think that's like a pessimistic way to look at it. I think there's a chance that Orlov, Mukhamadullin, they could be your sort of
real 2.
Yeah, I mean, Orlov did play that, even if he didn't have the best season. He played that last year for Carolina and made it he did in the playoffs for them too. And from what I understand, he was much better in the playoffs than he was in the regular season. So, and Mukhamadullin, we know, has a lot of talent. So I would guess that's the one that they're hoping emerges as sort of the top pairing, because that would also mean that Mukhamadullin is a player that, a good player, which you hope he is because he's young. And Orlov, we've invested more in, is also still a good player. So So I would guess that's what they're hoping, that those guys can do that, and then just see what you get out of Letty, Klingberg, and Farrell Logegren. And obviously, mix in Desharnais and Dickinson too.
Yeah. What did you think of Luca Badulin during training camp? I thought he played well in certain aspects.
I thought he got better. I also thought he was a little slow to start. I'm not sure if it's the handedness thing or just in terms of maybe tentative at times, right? And that's what I saw early on. But I thought he got better. And I think, though, by the end, he was starting to show the kind of game that he showed last year at the end of the season, where he was one of the Sharks' best defensemen. I don't know if it's still a very, very good defenseman yet, though. That's, if you compare it to the rest of the league. But definitely came on, though, by the end of camp for me.
Yeah. It seemed like he has a play-killing ability that I think is super underrated. He smothers people when they enter the zone really, really well. Which is awesome. And then he can move the puck. When he has confidence, like when he's confident, he really can, take it himself, or got good vision too. There's just a lot there with Mook. You really hope that this is the year. I want him to be a top 4 Sharks defenseman coming, like for the future, because I'm hopeful. And Orlov seems like a good partner. Hopefully they figure it out.
Yeah. No, it seems like this could work out. I would say, here, let's. I don't know if you had anything more past this, but if we might close with this then. Let's say they keep these pairings or close to. Who do you think emerges as a top pairing? Orlov, Mukabadulin, Farrell Logegren, or Letty Klingberg?
Eventually, I think Orlov, Mukabadulin. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Klingberg needs to be sheltered, and Letty. I don't know yet about Letty. I mean, the experience is there, and like Dan said, you never know what vets do in preseason if it matters or not. But I think Orlov Mukabadulin has the best chance to be the top pairing. Just they have two-way game. They've got some speed. They've got offensive ability. Neither of them seem like too weak defensively, so I'm not. Yeah, I like it. And then Ferraro Liljegren, if we like Ferraro, we keep in the lineup in the right spots. He's still a good player. He's just the right spots for Ferraro. He can't be eating 23 minutes a night. He just can't do it.
Yeah.
So,
but going back to it, I've said this a lot about these defensemen. But if we go back to 2021 or 2017, and you got Orlov and young defenseman as your top pairing, Letty Klingberg as your middle pairing, and you can push down Ferraro Logegren to your bottom pairing. That's actually a good defense. So I think let's put it this way, that at least for me to close off, that I do think Orlov Mukabadulin will emerge as a top pairing, but I also think that if you're able to keep Ferraro Logegren as your bottom pairing, that's a good thing. It's not a negative on their abilities. I think that's where they can really shine. Yeah. And that means that your entire team is stronger because people are slotted closer, even if they're kind of 2.5, 3 defensemen, or 2.5 pairing or third pairing defenseman. Yeah. That Ferraro Logegren ideally is probably on the bottom end of that spectrum. But that's where they can, like I said, they can thrive there. They can be really good there.
Yeah, I think Liljegren is like the epitome of the number 6 defenseman. Like he's fine. Like he's okay. And I think if he's at your number 6 spot, you're not going to lose or win all the time with him there. So I think he's just fine. It's just the problem is when you play them higher and higher, that's the issue. So
right.
We'll see. It's an interesting. I think before we went to the off season, I said that I wanted to get some defensive revamp, and he did. Ferraro's like the only guy on this team that was on the beginning of the opening night roster last year.
Right.
So that's a revamp.
Right.
And an interesting way to do it. So.
Yeah, and also the only guy that I think you would characterize as defense first. Maybe Letty's kind of become more of that over the years, sure. But and then Desharnais obviously too. But so there is a lot of puck moving, a lot more than before. So at least. Yeah,
I see Desharnais and Reeves as kind of the fill-in guys. Like Reeves is going to play a lot in the beginning of the year, I think. And then we'll see. But I think both of them are kind of your slot-in replacement guys. Like you like some of the physical aspects that Desharnais gives you. There's not a lot else that he's going to give you on most nights other than physical defensive play. So you slot him in when you need him. But
Yeah.
I think it's a good lineup. I'm cautiously optimistic. Rather than, I think last year I wasn't even close to optimistic. I was like, this is gonna go terribly. Well, did we get any sense of a starting goalie for the Thursday yet?
No, Warsawski is really keeping that close to the vest. I think this year he might do some of the things that coaches have been doing around the league. I think like Tournier and Utah said that he's not going to answer the question in the morning. So I wonder, unfortunately, I wonder if Warsawski's going toward that. So hopefully he'll at least announce in the morning at least.
He's going to hurt a bunch of fantasy rosters, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he is. I mean, and it's also another one. I guess we can end on that. That's actually a good question or debate or whatever that who should get opening night. And that's one of those things where I think either way, I wrote about this. I'm not concerned either way about opening night. I'm more concerned about how Askarov finishes the season, if he's taking the job by the end of the season, because that's why I want to see that growth. Obviously, in camp, Nedeljkovic has been better. Yeah. But I'm also careful about don't judge somebody just based on one good or bad game. That's Yaroslav Askarov, who was not very good in the last game in Utah. That's obviously Barclay Goodrow, Ryan Reeves, good or bad, etc., Pavel Regenda, right? And so I'm also okay if they just give him the job for opening night, and even though Nedeljkovic was better, and see if he can run with it too. So I'm fine with that, but I just want to see at the end of the season that he has defined himself as the Sharks' #1 goalie.
Yep, that's the hope. There's a lot riding on that too. Not a lot, but it's definitely the gamble that Mike Grier has played here for the goaltending future for the Sharks. So Shangers. Well, guys, I think that's it for today's episode. Sheng has disappeared off of the podcast, but we will be back next week with a update on the San Jose Sharks 2025-2026 season, which starts, and probably a captain update as well. I was going to say that the Sharks are officially losing the Tankathon standings. The Blackhawks have lost to the Panthers 2-3 for the first opening night game of the regular season. So we're already behind the 8 ball on the Gavin McKenna sweepstakes. I'm going to riot, but I hope you guys have a good week. I don't know if Sheng is rejoining me. Let's see. Perfect. All right. See you guys next week. Bye.